It's Angela, meeting producer. I'm still actually waiting for confirmation. Yeah, we're just gone live, Chairman.
We are now live.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's virtual meeting of the East Area Sub-Planning Committee. Before consideration of today's business, I will outline the protocols for today's meeting. Today's meeting is being live streamed to the public via Microsoft Teams and is also being recorded. When members are speaking, they may, if they wish, use their video. If the Council's live stream fails during the meeting and we cannot share the proceedings, I will adjourn the meeting so that we can access and it can be restored. If the issue cannot be resolved, I will halt the meeting and the remaining business will be concluded at a future date. If a member experiences a technical issue, I will adjourn for a short period of time to try and re-establish their connection. As I call members to speak, I will remind you to switch on your microphones. If for some reason you cannot be heard, the Democratic officer will advise you. The vote will be taken by the Democratic officer with a roll call of members present, who will answer for, against, or abstain. The result of the vote will then be announced by the Democratic Services Officer. Members must be present for the duration of the discussion on each planning application in order to be able to vote. We have public speakers at the meeting today, and they will be joining us via telephone. Where a member has declared a non-registrable interest, a disclosable pecuniary interest, or an interest by virtue of any trade union membership in a matter, they must leave the virtual meeting. Their departure will be confirmed and they will be invited to rejoin the meeting at the appropriate time. To confirm the procedure for today's meeting is that members of the committee who wish to speak on an item should indicate by using the raise your hand function, which will be monitored by the Vice Chair, Councillor Parsons. Any members not on the committee or are unable to use the raise your hand function who wish to ask a question should indicate by typing an X in the box. Before we start today's meeting, I will ask the Democratic Services Officer to ask the committee members to confirm they are present and state the electoral division they represent. And if we could also have the introductions of the Cornwall Council officers who are also in attendance. Pass it across to you, Rowena. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I will now call your name. Please confirm your name and your electoral division. Councillor Burden.
Neil Burden, Stoke-Chelmsland.
Councillor Craker.
Councillor Nick Craker, representing Liskeard North.
Councillor Eddy.
Martin Eddy, representing the St Cleer division.
Councillor Flashman.
Jim Flashman, representing Kelly Bray, St Dominic and St Mellion division.
Councillor Fitter.
Cowlin, St Morgan and Newquay North. John Fitter.
Councillor Holly.
Derek Holly, Saltash East Division.
Councillor Jordan.
Barry Jordan for the North Cornwall Tintagel division.
Councillor Long.
Andrew Long, Callington division.
Councillor May. Councillor May, is he present? Councillor May, can you confirm you can hear in your electoral division, please? Councillor May, you're on mute.
Rowena, it's Angela, meeting producer. You might want to carry on the list and come back to Councillor May.
Okay, Councillor Mould.
Good morning, Carol Mould, Cornwall Councillor for St Mimber and St Endelian division.
Councillor Pascoe.
Good morning, Jane Pascoe, Liskeard West and Dogwalls.
Councillor Pugh.
Good morning, Richard Pugh, Trelawney division.
Councillor Tamlin.
Morning, Sam Tamlin, Saltash West.
Councillor Parsons.
Good morning, Adrian Parsons, representing the Alton Nunn division.
Councillor Batters.
Good morning, Chris Batters, representing the Llanivert Blisland division.
Thank you. Councillor May, can you confirm that you are present and give your electoral division, please?
Councillor May, Penryn West. Sorry, I dropped my screen.
No problem, thank you. We also have electoral division members present, Councillor Kirk, Councillor Buscombe and Councillor Fairman. And officers present, we have Davina Pritchard, Group Leader from the Development Management Team. We have Development Management Officers presenting, Patrick James, Samuel Fuller, Richard White, George Shirley, and we also have from the Highways team, Javier Harador del Arco and myself, Rowena Brebner, and we also have Ben Kerno from the legal section. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Apologies for my late appearance. It was due to technical faults, but just a little reminder that I would hope with today's agenda being 5 items that we might be as concise as possible with our questions, answers and statements. I'd like to welcome Councillor John Fitter onto our committee. Good morning to you, John.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much indeed for your kind welcome, sir.
That's right. Welcome back to the lovely fresh air of the east of the county. But look forward to hearing your views on the matter. We're looking now towards the agenda, and can I ask for any apologies, please?
There are no apologies, Chairman.
Thank you. Declarations of interest, item 2. No declarations of interest. Thank you. Moving on to item 3, minutes of the previous meeting, or last meeting. Can I have a proposer and seconder that they are an accurate record, please? Or if there are any issues you might wish to raise regarding them.
Jim here. I'd like to propose the minutes as read.
Right. Thank you, Jim. I see Nick Craker's hand up. Nick, were you
Yeah, I'm happy to second them.
Fine, thank you, Nick. So it's proposed by Councillor Flashman, seconded by Councillor Craker. And if you wish to do the roll call for acceptance, please.
Okay, thank you, Chairman. Councillor Burden?
Yes, in favour.
Councillor Craker?
4.
Councillor Eddy?
4.
Councillor Flashman?
4.
Councillor Fitter?
4.
Councillor Holly?
4.
Councillor Jordan?
4.
Councillor Long?
4.
Councillor May? 4. Councillor Mould?
4.
Councillor Pascoe? 4. Councillor Pugh?
4.
Councillor Tamlin?
4.
Councillor Parsons?
4.
And Councillor Batters?
4.
Thank you. That's unanimous, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Just before we go into item 1, I will put a couple of short breaks in at convenient times to offer you the chance to get a cup of tea or take a brief comfort break. Okay, so excuse me, we open today's proceedings then with application number 1, which is PA 20 03516 Bealswood Cemetery Road, Ulverston. It is being presented by Patrick James. Across to you, Patrick. Good morning.
Good morning, Chair. Thank you very much. I'll attempt to share my screen with you all now, if you just bear with me.
Yes, screen's up and running, Patrick.
Fantastic. Thank you, Chair. Okay, just to start off with setting the context for this application for members. Members will see that the recommendation is for refusal, and this concurs with the parish's view. Importantly, though, officers are recommending it solely on the grounds of ecological grounds, on ecological issues to do with the bats on site. However, there's very strong feeling locally, as represented by Divisional Member Dorothy Kirk, that the highways is an issue. So it's considered important that it comes before you, members, to determine whether, of course, you don't want to overturn the whole thing and approve it, which is a possibility. But if you are minded to refuse, it's important for yourselves to have the opportunity of whether or not to include highways as a reason for refusal. I'll just initially direct you to the update. It became apparent that the applicant had submitted a preliminary ecological survey, but unfortunately hadn't taken heed of the fact that within there, at 6 points within the report, it strongly suggests the need and highlights the need for bat surveys to be taken out. As members will be aware, there's a season for bat survey work to be taken out. It's usually late spring through to early autumn, and unfortunately that window had been missed on this occasion. Notwithstanding that, the applicant has submitted a species-specific bat report. It is couched with caveated language, and it's firmly the view of officers, in line with a number of court cases, that if a local planning authority cannot be sure that no harm would occur to protected species, then it should not grant planning permission. Okay, so moving on to the key issues of the report. The first issue is the policy context. The site lies effectively between two settlements, Albaston and Drake Walls, and in the view of officers, it counts as infill and rounding off. The next issue is access, which is very important, and the impact on traffic flow. The impact on the character of the locality. We're adjacent to the Tamar Valley Area of Outstanding Natural Beauty and within World Heritage Sites. Being next to the now defunct Drake Walls mine, land stability is an issue. And similarly, as you would imagine, mineral safeguarding in case at some point in the future it becomes economically viable to recommence mineral extraction. Ecology, as touched upon with regards to bats, and then climate change and biodiversity. So looking at the plan, hopefully you can see my cursor. Chair, can you see the cursor?
Yes, we can, yes.
Brilliant, okay. So we have the village of Albaston here and Drake Walls here, and we're on Cemetery Road here, so we're next to the cemetery. And
apologies, we're not getting, well, apologies, we are not getting, we're on still on the slide. My slide shows key issues only.
Oh, really? It hasn't
has not moved forward.
Mine has just changed.
Yeah, mine's up as Patrick did it, but has everyone else got their map slide up?
Yes, yeah, mine has moved. Yes, Chairman.
No, mine is
okay. Are you okay now, Andrew?
Now it's on.
Fine.
Just
it's that the electricity problem you've got up there, I think.
Well, I'm across the border in England, Chairman. That's
I said yes. Okay, Patrick, back to you.
Thank you, Chair. I'll try to be mindful of the slight delay with the frames coming up, but please do intervene if I'm charging ahead of what you can see back at your place. Okay, so we have the horizontal lines is the area of outstanding natural beauty. So the border is actually formed by Cemetery Road. So this area is the Tamar Valley, effectively to the right of your screen. And the dotted area is the World Heritage Site. So you can see it extends to include the whole of the site, as you'd expect from it being a former mining area. In a bit more detail now, so the red line area is the application site for 5 dwellings and amendments to the host dwelling Bealswood. Importantly, there's a recently listed Calstock Parish War Memorial just here, very near the existing and proposed entrance. The chapel of the cemetery is used as an archive for local data and information, so it's quite frequently visited. So this is Cemetery Road, and the road slopes uphill as you head towards Drake Walls. So now I've got the aerial view. The cemetery stands out very clearly with the chapel. You can just discern the listed war memorial here, and the entrance here with the house Bealswood, and the land slopes upwards here. And you can see from this that there's built form to the northeast. Similarly to the southwest, there is planning permission for at least one dwelling in here, and then you have dwellings along that side. So you only have one boundary of outbuilt form. This is all part of the Drake Walls mine area, and this area here is in fact got about 2 to 3 meters high of mining spoil on it, which has since overgrown. So it forms a very defined boundary. So here's the site plan, and this is the host dwelling here. The proposal seeks to effectively demolish the end of the existing house in order to facilitate the access track coming into the site and have a long extension in behind. So as you go up the slope, you end up with the 5 dwellings, all 2-storey. And this is the edge with the former mine here. And then dwellings, dwellings, and dwellings there. Now, the important thing on this plan is to see this proposed build out here. This application is actually the third in a stream of applications that seek to realise this proposal. The most recent one had a single reason for refusal on highway grounds. That proposal did not include the build out, and so if you can imagine, the access track would have come down here, and it wouldn't have been possible to provide safe visibility space. So that had a reason for refusal on highway safety. So the whole point of this pedestrian walkway build out is to provide and ensure that at all times safe visibility display would be provided. However, of course, it does have the impact of narrowing the road, and this is one of the issues that is of great concern, and on which Divisional Member Dorothy Cook will speak shortly. And just to let you know, the listed war memorial is just here. So these are plans, swept path plans, to show that emergency vehicles and refuse vehicles would be able to access the site as it's currently proposed. Hopefully you can now see sectional drawings through the site. So starting in the bottom right-hand corner, this is the host dwelling Bealswood, showing the proposed extension to the rear, and sectional views up through the proposed dwellings. And here's as it stands at the moment with Bealswood in its wider form, but without the rear extension. And this goes into a bit more detail about plans for the existing unit. So you can see it be effectively shaved at the side here, but with a long rear extension. This gives you a view of the context from Google. So here's Cemetery Road, heading up in a northeasterly direction. The picture, as you can see, is slightly distorted in a vertical way, but that you still managed to get the information. So we have the cemetery on our right, the cemetery chapel, now the archive reserve, sorry, on your right too. You can just see the listed war memorial here. So the host dwelling Bealswood is this one here, and here's its existing entrance with a modest splay currently. So the plan would be that the entrance would be reinforced here and come up by the side of the existing dwelling. Another view just to show you the recently listed war memorial and the chapel for the cemetery and the cemetery itself. And here we have the front street view of Bealswood. So this left-hand side of the building would be effectively shaved off to create a wide enough access for the interior of the site. This is, as it were, a reverse angle. So we're at the top of the site now, looking down over the site. It effectively provides a very large garden area for the host dwelling currently. This is the host dwelling here at the moment, and so we're looking down over the expanse of the Tamar Valley here. These are detailed plans just to give you an indication of the sorts of dwellings that would be proposed under the scheme, all 2-storey. And similarly, all 2-storey again. It's fair to say they are quite large dwellings. So really, the balance of considerations comes down to a number of issues. Yes, it would provide a contribution to the council's housing supply in what officers consider to be an accessible location. Gunners Lake Station is not that far away to the northeast. The build phase would contribute to supporting local services and the economy. Over the course of the earlier 2 applications, it has been demonstrated that the site is suitable in terms of land instability and the impact on not sterilising the mine. With this latest iteration of the proposal and the build out, from a highways point of view, the access would be safe and suitable to serve it, and you'll be our highways officers on hand to answer queries later on. And yeah, just to reiterate that point, the revision to the scheme, when compared to the most recent application, have successfully addressed the earlier highway concerns. However, as touched on earlier, it has not been demonstrated that bats would not be harmed by the scheme, and so that remains the officer recommendation for refusal currently. In this way, it fails to accord with the development plan, and this harm is considered to outweigh the positive factors, and so the officer recommendation for refusal is as below on the basis of the harm to bats and the our policy 23 of our local plan and the advice of the MPPG. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Patrick. Our first speaker on this application is the Reverend Christopher Painter. Are you on the line, Reverend Painter?
I am indeed. Good morning.
Good morning to you. You have 3 minutes to state your case. We will give you 30 seconds warning before the end of the 3 minutes. So as soon as you're ready to begin, away you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Good morning, members of the committee, and thank you for your time in having me. I'm Chris Painter, rector for the Calstock parish and other parishes too, and I've been asked to act as a spokesperson for the many objectors to this application, which includes my Methodist colleague, the Reverend David Moss, minister of the Tamar Valley Methodist Church in Albaston. David is also chaplain to the local branch of the Royal British Legion. I too live in Albaston, and as a resident and a minister, this application, which requires the narrowing of the road alongside the cemetery, does give me a lot of concern. It will prevent the parking of the hearse and mourners' cars next to the footpath alongside the cemetery, which provides safe access to the entrance. The cemetery serves the entire parish, so parking is essential for attendance at burials and for visiting graves. Last Friday, I conducted a funeral where the deceased arrived literally on the back of his much-loved lorry, which is unusual for these kind of things, but not unknown. And imagine what effect this wide vehicle would have had on a much-narrowed road. It was, anyway, a well-attended funeral, and the large number of mourners' cars would have gridlocked the village if the road had been narrower. Local funeral directors have joined us in expressing their concern that the essential support which they provide to the bereaved will be affected if these plans are approved. During the spring lockdown, there was great distress caused to the bereaved when they could not attend funerals and burials as they had been accustomed to in the past. And imagine if your decision today allowed that to become a permanent situation. Family funerals often include many mourners, not always older people, struggling with mobility, and to expect the elderly, frail and vulnerable to have to walk longer distances in the traffic line of a busy road with no pavement would be an act of gross insensitivity, more so when we consider that many have lost partners of many decades. The local branch of the Royal British Legion opposes the development as it will impede attendance at commemoration ceremonies at the War Memorial, newly listed as we just heard, situated in the cemetery. If safe, level access to the disabled can no longer be provided, then Parish Archive, now located in the old mortuary chapel, may have to close. When parking becomes difficult outside the cemetery, the entire length of Cemetery Road will be transformed into a single track road.
30 seconds remaining.
I often walk this road with my children, aged 5 and 4, and it's one of the most dangerous roads for pedestrians in Albaston. An accident is waiting to happen. The development will make it more certain. To prioritise the needs of vehicles over the needs of mourners at a popular cemetery would be callous to the needs of the bereaved and insultingly dismissal to the needs of the local community. Please refuse this application. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Reverend Painter. If you could hold the line for a moment in case there are any questions might be coming your way. Do the members have any questions of clarification, please, from the speaker? Any questions for clarification? Can't see any popping up. Oh, something popped up. Nick Craker, Councillor Craker.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I just clarify how do I phrase this delicately? But roughly, how many funerals take place, perhaps every month, in the cemetery or in the chapel, please?
Well, I take the Anglican funerals, and that tends to probably be, I don't know, probably about one a month on average. Other denominations and other groups also lead them. Celebrants take it. It is used quite frequently. It's not as though it's only one or two a year. It is frequently used, and also there are a lot of people that come to visit, graves there as well. So it is in constant use. I think it's fair to say that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any other hands up. Councillor Parsons, can you confirm that, please?
That's correct, Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Painter. Obviously, you're welcome to follow the rest of this application on the live screen, but thank you very much indeed.
Thank you for your time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Councillor Dorothy Kirk. Dorothy, will you be speaking twice, or are you going to combine your council's 5 minutes with this bit, or what? What are you presuming to do on this?
I will be speaking, and then I shall be followed, I think, by the chair of the parish council.
Fine. Okay. In that case, as you know, you have 3 minutes in this particular section. So away you go. Thank you.
Okay. Well, I wouldn't build here because according to the Cheryl Associates reports, it's contaminated with arsenic, with cadmium, all sorts of things. It's got unstable substructures, and it used to be an open area of local significance. It used to be regarded as coalescing of communities. I know that's all changed, but until the neighbourhood plan is in place, which has been impeded by COVID, we are in this sort of no man's land. The one claim made by this application is that it contributes to the housing stock. Well, Calstock Parish has already fulfilled its allocation of housing. There is no need for any more. This is certainly not affordable housing. So it's 5 detached houses, which will take away from the amenities of the community as a whole. It's a very busy road. We have the Co-op supermarket and petrol station. We have a special needs children's centre. We have the Tamar Valley Centre, which houses the Tamar Valley Airbnb, the Tamar Trust and the Parish Council. These bodies all need extra parking when there are conferences, when there are meetings, and there is inadequate parking for them provided. However, they can park alongside the cemetery wall at the moment. This plan proposes permanently blocking parking there along 60 metres with free pedestrian crossings, presumably for the dead to rise on Halloween, because nobody else will be using them. And that means there will be no parking. So conferences at the Tamar Valley Centre, parish council meetings with 18 parish councillors, clerk, deputy clerk and members of the public attending will have nowhere to park once the small car park is full. And it is necessary to have parking because 5 of the villages serving the parish are 2 miles from the Tamar Valley Centre. So it's a major impediment to local democracy. It would impede the functioning of the newly formed parish archive, which holds exhibitions, and people need to park there. The road is narrowed to the point where, although there was a diagram showing a dustbin lorry and a car passing there, that diagram has since been removed, and local people have measured that road and do not believe that it will be possible for larger vehicles and cars to pass. So in order to facilitate a luxury executive development, we're looking at damaging the whole
seconds remaining
and risking the safety of pedestrians who have no other pavement. The loss is greater than the gain. To give better access to 5 executive houses, to lose safe access to the rest of the community, I hope you will regard as unthinkable and that you will refuse this application.
Thank you very much, Dorothy. Do the members have any questions to Dorothy in connection with the parish council? Because that's who she's actually speaking for at the moment. Are there any questions for clarification of Dorothy? Councillor Pascoe. Yes, Jim, I'll put you down.
Do you want to get Jim in first, or shall I go ahead?
No, you go ahead, Jane. That's right.
Fine, thank you. And I just think I was difficulty hearing her, but I think Councillor Kirk mentioned car park that they use when they go to their parish meetings. Can she tell me the capacity of that car park? How many cars can park there?
Yes, I can. It holds about a dozen cars, but as I said, there are 18 parish councillors, clerk, a deputy clerk, and when we have planning applications which are contentious, large members of the public, it's quite impossible to park there. If the AONB holds conferences attracting people from the whole region, again, it will not hold all of those visitors, and they have to park alongside the cemetery wall. There is nowhere else to park. And the function of the AONB is vital to our community and to the region as a whole.
Thank you.
Okay, Jane.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Councillor Flashman, Jim, would you like to come in?
Not at this moment. My question's been answered. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, we now come back to you again, Dorothy, as the divisional member. You've got 5 minutes. I will expect you to wind down by the 5 minutes. So when you're ready, away you go. Thank you.
As a divisional member, and always aware of the economic importance of the World Mining Heritage Site and the area of outstanding national beauty, this application, by moderating or blocking the functions of the area of outstanding national beauty, the Tamar Trust, which is also housed in the Tamar Valley Centre, could seriously impede the economic prospects for my area. At the moment, there is a major project, the Tomorrow project, which is ongoing, working in conjunction with Plymouth, with Devon, and it would bring millions of pounds into a very poor area. The average workplace income in this part of Cornwall is about £16,500 a year. And these projects, the Tamar Trails, which are managed by the Tamar Trust based in the Tamar Valley Centre, the Tomorrow project, other projects, they bring sustainable tourism, and with that they bring money, which we really need. We cannot afford to lose employment here, and it would not only threaten the tourism engendered by these bodies, but also the existence of these bodies themselves at a time of stringency economically. If they cannot be seen to be not only protecting the landscape, but also using it as an economic asset, then they themselves will be at risk of being reduced or cut. And so from the point of view of the community as a whole, the economic benefit, the ability to live as a community and possibly to prosper, it's an application that does more harm than good. And given how hard we've been trying to improve the future, not just for this generation, but for the next, it's not an application that helps us to continue to the future with optimism.
That's the end of it. At the end, are you, Dorothy?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions or clarification from Dorothy? No. One, Neil Burden, Councillor Burden.
Yeah, thank you. Could I ask Councillor Kirk to illustrate to the members where that huge mine shaft is constantly going bigger and bigger and bigger, and subsidence on Cornwall Council land, actually, just along the road? Perhaps you could indicate it on the map.
Can we perhaps ask Patrick? Can he show it on one of his slides at all, please?
Can I just say it's not just that one. There are two immediately adjacent to this site at the top end.
Yeah, if we can hold just a second, Dorothy.
Yes.
Patrick, are you able to put a slide up that would cover that area, please?
No, we want the map.
On that one?
That's it. Yep.
Yes, fine. Okay, away you go, Dorothy and Patrick, please. Demonstrating.
Patrick?
My understanding, Chair, yeah, my understanding is there's more than one shaft within the Drake Walls mine. The Drake Walls mine extends here, Drake Walls west, and Drake Walls east here. and I know there's at least one shaft, I think, in each of these two halves. Beyond that, I'm not able to give you further information. I can try and dig it up on our council's mapping system.
If we just go back to Neil. Neil, does that answer your question at the moment?
There's a big shaft just west of the A of aerial, and then that just there, just along, that's right, and then just over the road, across the road, that's Drakewell's mine, which is 400 feet deep, at least. But what concerns me is this is a mining area, and
just a second, Neil. We are on questions of clarification.
So all I wanted for the local member to confirm that this is a very intensive mining area.
Oh, very, very, very. There's a major subsiding shaft just up there. There are two on the Cheryl.
Yeah, can you confirm the question, please, Dorothy? Because we don't want to open up other avenues at the moment. Just confirm the question, please.
Yes, there's a large subsiding shaft up there.
Thank you. Thank you, Neil. You happy with that?
Yeah, fine.
Any other questions of clarification, please? No. Thank you very much, Dorothy. In that case, we go into questions now of clarification from our planning officer, Patrick. Anyone wish to go ahead with any questions for our case officer? Councillor Eddie Martin, good morning to you.
Good morning, Chairman. Patrick, I'm looking for the report. I might have missed it, but have we got an opinion from the Tamar Valley AOMB here?
Hello, Councillor. No, I think on this time there hasn't been. There have been comments in the past. I think one of the reasons they probably didn't comment this time is, oddly enough, in fact, it's quite hard to see the site from public viewpoints because, as you can see, it has the neck from the highway here, and then it's on rising ground, and certainly from all this area, it's occluded by the overgrown mine area. And similarly, from down here, it's occluded by the built form already. I think, from experience, the Tamar Valley AOMB officer tends not to comment if it's not an issue that they feel strongly on.
Okay, Martin?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman.
Fine. Councillor Long, good morning, Andrew. You're next up.
Thanks, Chairman. Thank you very much. It's for the highways officer, if that's okay.
Yes, certainly. That's okay.
Yeah. I'm just, in view of the comments received from regarding the cemetery, I'm just really confused as to how, given the size of these properties, that we've given the context that these are going to be minor impacts, because these properties aren't 1-bed, 2-bed properties looking at the drawings of them. So you're looking at multiple vehicles coming in and out of there on a minor road. So I'm really struggling to understand how you come to the analysis that it is safe and suitable access has been demonstrated when given all the contrary evidence and local knowledge. So I was wondering if the highways officer could give us an idea of how he came to his viewpoints, please.
Yeah. Over to, I'm not sure who is the highways officer today.
Javier.
Carry on if you wish. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Thanks for the question, Councillor Long. Obviously, we don't look at vehicle movements, looking at the number of bedrooms the residential units could have. So therefore, we'll be looking at the scale of development and the obviously existing dwelling and the additional 5 dwellings will be in compliance with our development layout design, and therefore is considered as demonstrated safe and suitable access.
Thank you very much. I understand what you're saying there. I'm concerned that you don't think that the number of bedrooms will have an impact. I know that this is what London seems to think is going to be, that doesn't matter how many bedrooms you have, you're only going to have 1 car. But living down here, the fact that people use most estates now in Cornwall are overrun with vehicles because every person over the age of 17 seems to have a vehicle, that this is going to be exactly the same in this situation. So I think the number of vehicles has been drastically underestimated by your analysis. So I'm really concerned as to how you come to that conclusion, because surely when you look at policy, you need to put policy in the local context. You can't just look at it as a broad-based, what London tell us. They have to have a local knowledge which needs to feed into that narrative. So have you assessed the potential impact of the number of vehicle movements given the size of the properties? We can't just say it's going to be one car per property.
Javier, back to you.
Thank you, Chairman. Absolutely, Councillor Long. Along with obviously national guidance, as well as Cornwall Council requirements, as I exposed back in the day to Councillor Kirk, the proposal would also be in compliance with the emerging parish council neighbourhood development plan, excuse me, and is providing both parking for obviously the dwellings and also opportunities for visits of parking. As you know, the properties will be constructed with garages as well as off-street, off-road parking spaces. So any increase in vehicles that might be perceived because of the numbers of bedrooms each dwelling will have, I do consider there would be appropriate opportunities for parking to not impact and effectively introducing any additional measures outside.
Yeah, my apologies. I think I might not explain myself rightly, Javier. I'm not talking about the parking facilities. I'm talking about access onto Cemetery Road. Given the quantity of potential vehicles, which seems to my view to be way more than you're estimating, and you're using with the guidance, the national guidance, I wonder whether you've given the correct impact assessment regarding to the use of Cemetery Road, together with the narrowing of the road there and the potential impact that would have on the cemetery.
I think if we could get a straight answer from that, Javier, because it is something that you obviously stated one thing and Councillor Long thinks something different, which I'm not disagreeing with Councillor Long on this at all, but we're prolonging something which could easily be answered. So would you wish to say, Javier, that you're happy with what you've set out?
That's right.
Fine. Okay. Happy with that answer?
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
No, not really, but I understand.
Well,
I don't.
Yeah, I think you appreciate
comment, but
yeah, it is what it is. Councillor Holly. Good morning, Derek.
Good morning. Can you hear me, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, we can. Yes.
Thank you. Could you bring up, please, the road details plan? I think it's called the one that shows the widths of the road of the. That's it, I think. Yeah. If you look, Xavier, can I speak to Xavier again? Is he there still?
Yes, he's there, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, I am.
Thank you. Is this a mistake on the first unit that's been truncated? Because it seems that the corner of the unit is going into the footpath and leaving only about 1 centimetres for the for walkers to get past for about 5 or 6 yards. So if you look at the right-hand diagram the members are looking at, that house seems to be projecting into the footpath. Surely this must be a mistake. Is this just bad drawing or what? You wouldn't allow that, surely, would you?
That's right, Councillor Holly. And I do consider that northern strip in the internal road would be a service corridor rather than a footway. And the footway would effectively be on the southern side of the internal road.
But can I just point out that you've got a footway to the one side of that building, which is jutting into the footway, and a footway on the other side, all the way along. It's 1 metre to the left and 1.8 to the right. But you seem to, so that is as it is. Then that's not a mistake in the drawing.
I think that's not a mistake in the drawing, Councillor.
Oh, in that case, I'll deal with that later. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Derek. Councillor Bird, Neil. Your hand is still up. I take it you wish to say something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know which to do. Can I footway first? Who owns where the new footpath's going to go?
That is public highway, councillor.
So we're giving the developer Cornwall Council owned property to put in a footway, are we?
Effectively, the developer would be constructing the footway. That's right.
On Cornwall Council land?
On public highway land, yeah.
Yes,
And
interesting. I've never heard of that before, and I mean, I do agree it's just going to be unacceptable to make the road narrower. The other question I have is for the planning officer.
Yeah, go ahead, Patrick.
Yeah, I think not completing the BAT survey is a bit unfair because everybody else has to do a BAT survey. As we know, and I think that they should comply as well. That's number one. Number two is you do realise there's a turbine just out over the hedge from number 4.
It's used.
I'll take your word for it, councillor.
Well, there is. Dorothy Kirk will confirm that.
Fine. Okay. Councillor Parsons, over to you.
Thanks, Chairman. Hello, Patrick. So just to confirm, the crux of the reason you have this down for refusal is the lack of the BAT survey, and this mainly revolves around the demolition or part demolition of the dwelling at Beals Wood, which interestingly to me looked like quite a new building, but obviously I guess the work should be carried out to confirm this. Are there any other BAT routes of note in the locality, as obviously this is a greenfield site, so is it considered to be a feeding ground for bats?
Thank you, councillor. Yes, it's a very batty area, in fact. So the house itself has been serving as a roost. Well, it's impossible to absolutely confirm that because the surveys were done out of season. But similarly, the margin between the site and the despoiled land of the former mine is a very emphatic route, and the initial ecological survey and indeed the putative follow-up survey indicate there's actually a really high number of different species of bats that, as you say, yes, do use it as a commuting area and a feeding area. So yes, there's the concern about the house itself, but there's also the concern about the impact on the margin going up the side of the site. And one of the things with bats is all the different species behave in different ways, and so that's one of the reasons we are quite exhaustive in our requirements for the follow-up species-specific surveys, is that, for instance, some bats use things like field boundaries as roots, and you know, some use roosts as maternity roosts, and it's that level of detail that simply hasn't been able to be provided in this instance. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. I see no other questions on my list here. That confirmed.
Jim, I'd like to ask Patrick a question, please.
Yes, certainly, Jim.
Patrick, on the new builds that are proposed, are there any bat facilities built into the roofs of the houses so that if say for argument's sake, an appeal was lodged, an appeal was made, is it sensible that bat roofs and maternity could be built into the roofs of the new dwellings?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, that's a very good question, and it's certainly something that we would firstly have been seeking to ensure had the officer recommendation been for approval. But certainly if any decision, if a refusal is forthcoming at this stage, and then subsequent to that, if an appeal is forthcoming, then those will certainly be, that condition will certainly be amongst those recommended to the inspector for application to any follow-up approval if the inspector is so minded.
Thank you.
Okay. I have one final question here, hopefully final question from Councillor Craker. Nick Wago.
Thank you, Chairman. It seems to me that although we can see some potential highway concerns here, the professional advice from the highways officer is that we wouldn't be able to refuse this on highway grounds. So it really comes down to the bats and I guess the mitigation for that. So if that's the only thing, my question is, if the committee were minded to approve this application, would it be sufficient to include a condition that stated that a report would need to come back before any development took place on the site which dealt with the bats?
Thank you, Councillor. In my view, I think the committee in such an instance would be acting unlawfully. There's been a number of legal cases that show that you can't condition where protected species are known to be present. It has to be assessed at the application stage because it goes to the heart of whether permission should be granted or not. So yeah, in my view as the officer, it would be unlawful to grant opinion at this stage.
Okay, Nick.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Neil, is this something new, Neil? Because
Yeah,
we are dragging this part out.
The
Yeah.
highways officer, did he feel that the road would be narrow, as the objectors said, with this new pavement on council land when you visited the site?
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, it would. I should add that from my experience, it's not unusual for build-outs to, as it were, take highways authority land. Often when new accesses are sought to be provided, effectively the mix of the highway between the carriageway and the footway is increased in favour of the footway, and that's not unusual. I have some sympathy for the concerns about the narrowness of the road. The submitted drawings purport to show that two vehicles will be able to pass each other. I'm not so sure that in actuality that would be the case.
Right. I see Councillor Eddy has a question. I hope this may be the last one in this section, unless someone has something new they wish to bring up. So across to you, Martin.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for allowing another question. Patrick, I noticed that I guess it's a refuse lorry enters from the south and exits to the north, but of course they're not the only lorries that come. There will be the new recycling lorries, which will be larger. Have we seen a sweep diagram with the lorry coming in from the other direction? In other words, exiting, going south and coming in from the north, because it's a more acute angle when they enter from the north, isn't it? And exit from the south.
That's right. Thank you, Councillor. Yeah, I believe a full set was supplied, and this one's being used in the presentation. But perhaps I can double check with my colleague Javier on that. I'm pretty sure that this has been looked at by highways officers and considered to work with all the permutations. But perhaps Javier would be able to speak, Chair?
Yes, certainly.
Thanks, Patrick. Yes, Councillor Eddy, it has been demonstrated in both directions.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you all.
Thank you, Martin. Okay, in that case now we move into open debates. Open debate. Who would like to start on open debate? Martin, your hand is still up. Were you looking to open the debate as well?
Part of the council parishes.
Okay, Jim, I'll bring you in a moment. I'll bring you in a moment, Jim. In that case, the first one up is Councillor Parsons, followed by Councillor Pugh, and then we'll have Councillor Flashman. Over to you, Adrian.
Thank you, Chairman. I think with all what has been said within the questions of the officer and hearing the local divisional members speak, not enough work has been carried out on this site to satisfy myself with regards to the concerns that have been raised. So I would be more than happy to put this forward as set out by the planning officer for refusal for the reasons it hasn't been demonstrated that the development would cause harm to the habitat or population of bats, and it sounds as if we do have many species living in this area, and also as set out it does conflict with policy 23 of the Cornwall local plan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone at this point who would wish to second that, or? Councillor Pugh?
Yeah,
You're next up to speak anyway.
I'm happy to
I'm
second.
happy to second. Oh, right.
Right, okay, I've got you down. Richard, carry on with whatever you'd like to say.
No, I was just going to say I've listened to the debate. I think there's overwhelming issues with the bats. So I think I'm very happy to second the application. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Flashman.
Yeah, thank you. I am the adjoining ward member. Half of my unitary ward, or part of it, is the top half of the Calstock parish. Being a district councillor there for several years, I've always had a contentious view on Cemetery Road. I can go along with the proposer and seconder because I don't think that the requirements have been met about the bat survey. And if a new application goes in, I think that the developer really needs to put in some environmentally friendly bat usage in all the houses. There's a couple of points I'd like to make that Councillor Kirk had made earlier. The parish council meetings usually are held at 7 o'clock at night, unless there's an extraordinary meeting. And usually the car park is virtually empty opposite the parish council meeting rooms. And just along the road now, we've had a new cooperative and garage, and I take it there's post office there, which is an essential part of anyone building extra houses. I'm glad to see that the application is an infill site rather than using a greenfield site. Another point that I'd like to make, there used to be an ice cream factory along the road, which is historic before the Fernley House had the old people's home, and now I understand it's for young people's care. I think that historically people have parked on the east side of the road, which is the lower side. The new pavements for the splay would be an absolute benefit to the people that live on the west side of the road, which is the top side, because now they step into their gateway straight onto the highway, which is very dangerous. And they had a narrow pavement there. At least they've got some sort of security. The highways have demonstrated there is width in the road for a car and a lorry to pass, which I'm glad to see that that's been met. There's another thing here. I don't think, as far as I know, there have been any mining applications to re-mine the Great Drake walls at it and around the potential shafts that are there, which are somewhat of a distance from this application site. There's a natural bank that actually divides the application site from the World Heritage Area. And I think that if it comes back with a sensible bat survey and other additions to the dwellings, I think that probably that's for another day's decision. So thank you very much for letting me speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. I was a little bit generous there because you are the adjoining member. I hope the remainder of the speakers won't be quite as lengthy, because otherwise it's going to be a long day. Our next up is Councillor Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could you once again please bring up the right plan, which is called the Road Details and Site Levels Map, Patrick, please. Road Details and Site Levels Map. The reason, Mr. Chairman, is I would like to add something to the refusal, if possible.
Is that available, Patrick? Oh.
I'm just checking, Chair. I don't think we have it to hand.
Ah, right.
It's about the 10th one down on the list.
If you give me a moment, I'll pull it up.
Right. Come back to you in a moment, Derek. Okay.
Yeah, well, can I just finish? The second part of my concern is the comments made by Xavier, the highways officer, that the narrowing would have the same effect as in terms of passage as parked cars. But my concern from a road safety point of view is that parked cars may be 5 meters long. If it's 2, they may take about 15 meters perhaps. But we're talking about 50 meters of narrowing. So it's completely different to the statement made by the highways officer that have the same effect as a narrowing caused by a parked car. And I think that's a sort of, I just couldn't agree with that, Mr. Chairman. I think that's a wrong comparison to make. I think to deliberately worsen a road's function in this way, I think we're trying to do the opposite across the county to make roads safer for people and easier for passengers, not more difficult. Have you found it yet, Patrick? It's got drawing number 102A on it. Does that any help?
Look, we'll come back to this one in a moment, Derek. Okay, I'll move to Councillor Mould now. Carol, would you like to come in?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm always disappointed when we come back to these highways issues. I'm looking at policy 27 and provide safe and suitable access to the site for all people and not cause a significantly adverse impact on the local or strategic road network. Now, for me, this is exactly what this is doing. It is impinging on, if you're stopping people parking on the side of the road, slow traffic down, putting build outs there, you're taking away the facility for people to freely use the chapel, for people to visit places. It impacts on the wider community, in my view, much more than making the case for making safe footway into this estate. So, I find it disappointing, and I would hope that we could find a way to refuse this on highways grounds. But I'm happy to hear what others have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Patrick, have you got that drawing for Councillor Hawley yet or not? Right,
yeah.
Here we are.
Yeah, thank you. Could you blow it up now to show that house which sticks out into the footway? Because if members aren't keen on adding that as a reason for refusal, perhaps we could add it as an informative for future discussions between yourself. If you blow a bit more. Right, members, if you look there, the footway comes around off the road and it's about 1.8 meters wide. And then this house actually sticks out into it. And so there's only about a foot and a half left to go. Now, 4 of the 5 houses would probably use that side of the road, that footpath, that side when they're walking. So inevitably, they would have to go into the road, which I think really in this day and age is contrived, unsafe, and not sensible for example, a pushchair would always have to go onto the road at that point. And if members aren't keen on adding that as a reason for refusal, that's the badly sited house, then perhaps you could take it as informative when the technical details come up at a later stage. But I'm very unhappy with that from a pedestrian safety point of view. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Hawley. Councillor Long, Andrew.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. I will certainly be supporting the refusal of the application, but my real concern is the fact that this is going to be making this worse, not better. And the highways, we are going to make a already difficult highway situation worse. And I don't think, as a planning authority, we need to be approving that, because the only way I think we should be approving it is if there is such a shortage of housing within this area, the network area, that requires us to assess that as opposed to the impact on highways. And the fact is that we haven't got that situation in this area, and we certainly haven't got that situation. I think you might need to change your notes, possible. Oh, thank you. We are not in a situation where we are short of housing approvals in the network area. The housing approvals are really solid. 117 Cowington, there's 200 odd just up the road in St Anne's at the moment. There's other housing proposals coming forward. We are meeting and exceeding the target set by the government. So I'm struggling to understand why we are going to sacrifice potential highway safety at the altar of building very large properties that are not going to be within the price range of people living on the local income, as Councillor Kirk has said. I appreciate that all of that, we struggle with that because at the moment we're having a highway situation where we will literally only be saying, well, that's what national guideline says. And I think that's really disappointing. So I will support the application, the refusal of the application on the ground set out. But I really think that we need to be doing something about how we impact highways issues in local rural areas like this, and why we are so content, appearing so content on sacrificing highway safety at the altar of housing. Thank you.
So you might be suggesting that the highway should be added to this refusal, possibly.
Well, potentially, but I think we need to be really careful on that, because in the past we've come a cropper, and Lance and that Upper Chapel was a prime example of that.
True.
Local knowledge, and has proven to be right. Local knowledge up there has proven to be correct, and it is really disappointing that we didn't get the highway support for that, the refusal of that at the time. But I am conscious in the fact that Ben Kerner has now appeared on my screen suggests he's about to say something. So I am going to stop talking.
Right. Councillor Burton, you're the last one to speak at the moment. Hopefully.
Can I very quick, can I concur with Councillor Holly and Councillor Mould and Councillor Long? I mean, the bat thing got to be sorted, else that's not fair to other applications. And so that'll be next spring before that can be done. But the big thing for me is narrowing of the road. I just cannot support the narrowing of the road. And I'm disappointed with our highways department because they seem to go by some national guidelines for some street in London. This is in Cornwall, and the road is quite busy. And there's always cars parked there, and you know, you still got to slow down, etc. But narrowing the road, I think, is a real silly move. Thank you. And I'm sad to think that the developer haven't found a way of acquiring land which will not narrow the road. And perhaps
Thank you. According to what I'm looking at, Vice Chair, there's no other hands up, in which case, if you can confirm that, we will. Okay.
There are no other hands up, Chair.
Right.
What I was having listened to everyone else who spoke after me during the debate, I think to which actually I agreed with all their comments that were said. As members, we tend to be more sympathetic to local residents, and I think quite often we are more practical in our judgment of highways issues. What concerned me with adding this to the recommendation for refusal was the fact that obviously the highways officer is working to the national guidelines and he hasn't really put forward an objection. But if there were reasons that we could add highways to this, I would be more than happy to do so.
Right. Okay. Well, if we just
highways
pause
issues,
it for a second,
sorry, highways issues.
If we just pause it for a second, because at this moment we got the proposal by yourself, Councillor Parsons, seconded by Councillor Pugh, for as recommended by our officer. Is there anything you might wish to add to that, Patrick, or even Davina, with regards to the proposal that has come forward and the highways issues?
Yeah, certainly, Chairman. I'm happy to add to that. Obviously, we've listened to the debate quite extensively, and I think we are sympathetic to the concerns of local residents, the parish, the member, and obviously members of the committee in terms of the impact on highways. The only thing, I mean, we've got some wording for a reason for refusal, which I'll read through in a second. I think the only thing I would say is to reiterate the points that Councillor Parsons has made in terms of the fact that our Highways Development Officer has no objections to the scheme, and the scheme has also been reviewed by the Cormac Safety Project Manager. he has no objections either. So I think it just needs very careful consideration in terms of adding this as a reason for refusal, in terms of defending that position at appeal, and the subsequent sort of considerations that an inspector might give it. But nonetheless, you know, we are sympathetic to those concerns, so hence the reason we've drafted. I'll read it out for you.
Thank you.
So the proposed development, by the reduction of the width of the carriageway of Cemetery Road for a length of approximately 68 metres, that would be caused by its entrance build out, would impede two-way traffic and cause local traffic congestion, leading to a degradation of levels of highway safety. Furthermore, through its reduction of on-street parking opportunities, the proposal would cause a significantly adverse impact upon the local road network and in turn harmful disruption to the operation of funerals at the adjacent cemetery, the parish archive housed in the cemetery chapel, the parish council meetings in the nearby Tamar Valley AOMB centre, the operation of that centre itself and the nearby Fernley House Children's Centre. I think those points pick up the points that Councillor Kirk raised in terms of the impacts. As such, the proposal fails to accord with policy 27 of the Cornwall local plan and paragraph 108 of the MPPF.
Fine, and these would be added to the recommendations already concerning the bats.
Yes.
Yes. Councillor Parsons, Councillor Pugh, would you like to come in on this? It's your proposal and seconded. Are you happy with that, or would you wish to comment on it?
I'm happy with that, Chairman. Thank you.
I'm happy with that as well, and I think, like a lot of people today, I would have mentioned highways, but because the highways officer had given his approval, there didn't seem much point in doing that, unfortunately.
No, perfectly acceptable, Richard. That's okay. So you've heard the recommendation from our officer initially, to which has been added what Davina has read out to us. So can I pass it across to you now, Rowena, for the vote to be taking place? Roll call. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. It's been proposed by Councillor Parson and seconded by Councillor Pugh that the application be refused. Please indicate how you wish to vote when I call your name. Councillor Burden.
For the officer's recommendation.
Councillor Craker.
For.
Councillor Eddy.
For the recommendation.
Councillor Flashman.
For.
Councillor Fitter.
For.
Councillor Holly.
For the recommendation.
Councillor Jordan.
For.
Councillor Long.
For the recommendation.
Councillor May.
For the recommendation.
Councillor Mould.
For.
Councillor Pascoe.
For.
Councillor Pugh.
For.
Councillor Tamlin.
For.
Councillor Parsons.
For.
And Councillor Batters.
For.
Thank you, Chairman. This application has been unanimously refused.
Thank you very much, and thank you for that additional information, Davina. It clearly outlined what the members were concerned about. Okay, moving on now to application 4.2. It's PA 20 02739 Rosevine, Constantine Bay, Padstow, and it's being presented by Samuel Fuller. So across to you, Samuel.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, everyone else, members. Yes, I'll just share my screen.
Yep, that's up and running.
Yep, I'll just put it from the beginning. There we are. Is that clear to everyone?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Lovely. Thank you. Yes. So this is agenda item number 4.2. So Rosevine, Constantine Bay. It's a profession in principle application. So that is an application where we look at kind of three things. So it's kind of look at the principle. You look at the location, land use, and the amount of development. So the location would be the red line area. The land use would be what we believe to be the garden land and host to a dwelling. And then the amount of development is 3 dwellings. So it's for the demolition of the existing dwelling and the erection of 3 dwellings with improved access from the highway. So the key issues for this development is the principal development, so whether it complies with our local plan and national policies, character harm and harm to the AOMB, and flooding risk on site. So this is a location plan, shows the area of outstanding natural beauty which the proposal is within. So that's the horizontal lines across there. And that's kind of just got the whole site there really. There's a site of special scientific interest, which is here. So that's to the east of the site, so west of the site, and the county wildlife site. So there's one here, and there's one to the north there. And then this is the settlement of Constantine Bay and the proposal site there. So this is another site plan which shows the proposal. So this is Roseveen. This is the existing house on site. This is the red line area here, and this is the rest of the settlement of Constantine Bay. This is just an aerial. So again, this is Roseveen, the dwelling, the red line area of the site, vegetation there, and a hedgerow there, which has currently been removed. And then that's the rest of the Constantine settlement. So this is an existing site plan, which basically shows the overlay of the existing dwelling. There's another one there as well, just shows the full extent of the site. So that's the boundaries there, with the adjacent lane to the west. So it shows the existing access to the south, which will be shown in the photos, and yes, the existing dwelling within its garden area. So this is the proposed indicative site plan. So this is not set, this is just an indicative site plan being permission in principle. This shows the access which is envisaged, but this might be different if approved and gone to technical detail stage. So while this is shown on indicative plan, it might not be set. Sorry, it isn't going to be set. So this is just an indicative plan to show how it could be. And then the outline of the, I can't see my mouse there. There's one dwelling there. These are the proposed: one dwelling, two dwelling, and three dwelling. And this is the existing dwelling here. And there's a few trees as well. I should highlight the flood zones. So this is areas calculated by the FRA, which submitted the flood risk assessment. The green one there, I know the writing's really small, so I'll read it out for you. So this green one here, which goes to the south, that is the extent of flooding if the downstream culvert was blocked. So there's a downstream culvert, so that would stop flooding and bring it upstream. But that shows the extent of what that would be. The next one is the blue line, which is the extent of flood zone 2, and that's 1 in 1,000 year event. And then at the very top, there's flood zone 3, which you can just about see, which shows the flood in flood zone 3, which is 1 in 1,000 year event. And that was all calculated by the FRA. So this is a photo of the site. So you have the existing dwelling, Roseveen there, shrubbery there, and the existing access from the roads. So we're looking from the south to the north, and then the residential amenities to the rear, behind the house. So this is from the west. So there's an adjacent lane to the west, which you can look onto the site. So this is the existing dwelling, Roseveen, front forecourt, and the access as existing. I think there's a small garage or annex there, and the amenity land is to the left of the photo. So this is again from the adjacent lane to the east. So it looks at the existing dwelling, Roseveen, and the boundaries of the site. So that's where I took the photo there of the access and the tree. And this vegetated kind of boundary, it is the boundary of the site. And this is just another photo showing the house. This is the boundary again, and then the amenity land here, and the access just to the right of the screen. So this is the lower half of the site. So I have walked up slightly further of the road, so this isn't just me swiveling, this is slightly further up, but it does show the kind of the lower side of the plot, and to the north of the plot. Shows the boundary treatment again there, which swings round here to the north, and that's that. And then there's this Constantine stream at the bottom there. Just gives you an overall of the size of the site. Again, this is just showing the northern part of the site, so the lower part of the site, the treed or vegetated boundary there to the north, and to the east, going up to the south. This is just the adjacent lane, looking at, I guess, the built form of Constantine Bay. The site to the west should highlight that there used to be an existing hedgerow here, but this is to be reinstated, which I'd assume would be at technical detail stage. So there's nothing we can do at the moment, but this is to be reinstated, and this just shows, again, the surrounding houses. So this is to the south west of the site. This just shows the kind of surrounding dwellings of the area. So this is the road to the south, which swings around to the west. It's just showing you the surrounding houses there. You can see there's, I guess, a clear pattern in this respect. So this is directly to the south. So the site, when I've taken the photo, is to your left, which you can see from the first photo, which showed the house and the tree. This is basically swiveling and seeing those to the south. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 there, along there. This is from the lane to the west, looking to the south. So that's the site here, the access in that first photo, and the site to the left there. And that's just showing you the dwelling to the southwest, and then another dwelling here to the west as well. And this is just another photo looking west, showing the dwellings here, here, and here, just of the surrounding kind of built form and housing densities. So yes, the balance of consideration. So it's considered that the principal development for 3 dwellings is considered acceptable, and is viewed as running off, in the officer's opinion. It's believed that the introduction of 3 dwellings is viewed to fit well within the surrounding house densities and the character of the surrounding area. I should note the A&B officer has looked at this application, and they provided no comment on this one. So I guess they haven't made an objection or in support, but they haven't provided any comments on this application at this stage. And then the flood risk, as shown as calculations in the FRA and on the submitted plan, we consider that to be low, and it'll still be within the garden area as outlined on those indicative plans. So our recommendation is the permission in principle to be granted, and yes, that's our view. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Our first speaker is Richard Marsden. Are you with us, Mr. Marsden?
I am. Thank you, Chairman.
Good morning to you. You have 3 minutes to state your case. We will give you 30 seconds warning before the end of the 3 minutes. And if you could stay on the line at the end, appreciate it. Okay, so when you're ready, away you go. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, members of the committee. My name is Richard Marsden, and I am the Managing Director at Lawrence Associates. We act for the residents and owners of 22 properties located in the vicinity of the application site who all object to this proposal. I should say at the outset that limited sensitive redevelopment of this site is not an issue in planning policy terms, and I have advised my clients of this. However, the concern here is the quantum of development and how the development of this property would impact on the character of the area. With some limited exceptions, the pattern of development in this part of Constantine Bay is one of dwellings with relatively large footprints situated in generous plots. Policy 12 of the Cornwall Local Plan requires that development should demonstrate a design process that has clearly considered the existing context. It also requires that development will be judged against fundamental design principles, including being of a scale, density, layout, height and mass with a clear understanding in response to its landscape, seascape and townscape setting. The application site has a particularly generous plot size and at face value could accommodate redevelopment of some form. However, it is constrained by the fact that the northern part of the site falls within flood zones 2 and 3, as your officer has just pointed out, and your officers have highlighted that residential development would not normally be permitted in such zones. The result of this is that development has to be pushed into the southern part of the site, thus increasing the density of the built form at odds with the surrounding pattern of development. The applicant's agent has helpfully provided a proposed site plan illustrating this perfectly. The 3 new dwellings would be situated cheek by jowl in the southern part of the site, and whilst 2 of the dwellings would be left with substantial gardens to their north, the third would have a more limited amenity space. Whilst the overall area of the site is generous, the reality of the situation is that the built elements of the development would be concentrated towards its southern side, and the visual impact of this would be to form a far denser form of development than is experienced in the vicinity, and this would be at odds with the requirements of Policy 12 of the Cornwall Local Plan. There's also the potential conflict with Policy 23, as the site lies within the AONB, and that policy seeks to protect the character of that. So for this reason, I respectfully request that the application is refused by members. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. If you could just hold for a moment. Are there any questions for clarification of Mr. Marsden, please? Any questions for clarification? It doesn't look as though there are. So can you just confirm that, please, Adrian?
Sorry, Chairman, wrong button. Yeah, no, there are no other speakers.
Thank you very much, Mr. Marsden. You are able, as you probably know, to follow this on the live stream. So thank you for your attendance. Our next speaker, hopefully is with us, is Councillor Andrew Elderfield of St Mirren Parish Council. Are you there, Mr. Elderfield?
Yes, good morning, Chairman.
Good morning. You have 3 minutes again to state your case. We will give you a warning 30 seconds before the 3 minutes is up. And if you can remain for a while after the call, after you've spoken, that's great. So when you're ready, away you go. Thank you.
Thank you. St Mirren Parish Council is not objecting to the redevelopment of the site and does not argue that the principle of redevelopment of previously developed land within or immediately adjoining the settlement clearly complies with the intentions of Policy 3 of the Cornwall Local Plan. The issue that the councillors and local residents have is the amount of dwellings that the proposal seeks to create. It is generally felt that 2 replacement dwellings would sit well on the site, but that 3 dwellings would cram the site and take away the rural feel of Trevose Estate. With the above being said, it is felt that the proposal does not comply with the requirements of Policy 12 of the Cornwall Local Plan, and for that reason, a revised proposal of 2 dwellings would overcome this and be an acceptable addition to the built form of Trevose Estate. That is all we have as per the council to say on the subject, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Councillor Elderfield, please? Any questions? Again, nothing showing on my screen. Can you again confirm, please? Vice Chair?
That's correct, Chairman.
Thank you. In that case, thank you very much, Councillor Elderfield. You're, of course, aware you can follow it on the live stream. Thank you for your attendance.
Thank you very much.
And we now move to Mark Evans. Are you available, Mark?
Chairman, it's Angela Saunders, the meeting producer. I was getting some background noise from Mr. Evans and had to mute him. So, Mr. Evans, if you can hear me, you need to press *6 on your telephone.
Are you there, Mr. Evans? Hello, Mr. Evans, are you with us?
Yeah, Chairman, he's still muted at the moment. Mr. Evans, if you're listening, you need to press *6 on your telephone and that will unmute you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is that Mr. Evans? Mark Evans?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, is that Mark Evans?
Oh, great. It is Mark Evans, yes, thank you,
Good morning to you. You have 3 minutes, Mr. Evans, to state your case. We will give you 30 seconds warning before the end of the 3 minutes. And if you could hold at the end of your 3 minutes, we appreciate it for any questions that may be forthcoming. So away you go. Thank you.
Oh, before I start, Chair, could I ask if Sam Fuller could put up the indicative layout, please, that has been referred to?
Sam, could you do that, please? Okay, is that the one you wanted?
Yes, thank you.
Fine, away you go with your 3 minutes.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak in support of this application. Members, you've received clarification today that the site is a substantial plot of approximately 0.8 acres, and which is approximately 3 times larger than the surrounding neighbouring plots. In addition, it has been clarified that the site is well integrated within the built form of the settlement, and the proposal itself would not visually extend buildings into the open countryside. You have also been quite correctly advised that it is very relevant to note as a material planning consideration that even with the proposed principle of development of 3 houses on the site, each of the proposed plots will still be larger than the plots of the adjoining neighbouring properties. It is therefore very clear that the creation of 3 dwellings will not be at odds with the prevailing housing densities, and the local members and objectors' concerns regarding principles of density and associated impact upon local landscape character are totally unfounded. In your consideration of this matter, I ask you to look at this indicative layout. The area available for each plot will, as a point of fact, allow for each dwelling to be well separated and have generous amenity space to the rear and space to the front. Your professional planning officer has advised you that this density fully aligns with a local landscape character in the immediate area. It is similarly clear that each plot will have adequate car parking, shall be detached and of a scale that is identical to the surrounding built form. This is again in line with the surrounding character. Members, it has been clarified to you that the proposed dwellings could fit well within the housing densities and landscape of the settlement of Constantine Bay as supported by policies 12 and 23. This will comply with the definition of rounding off within the Cornwall local plan and therefore is fully compliant with policy 3. It is a further significant material planning consideration that the proposal would make a valuable addition to the housing stock of the area, contributing to the country's housing target. You've been advised that the social, economic and environmental benefits associated with introducing new homes into a settlement weigh in favour of this application. Members, it is also relevant to note that the NPPF advises you that small and medium-sized sites, exactly such as this, can make an important contribution to meeting the identified housing requirements of an area. You are specifically encouraged as local planning committee members to help speed up housing delivery by supporting the development of precisely this form of windfill site and to give great weight to the benefits of using suitable sites within existing settlements for
30
homes,
seconds remaining.
particularly where they involve the subdivision of large sites, as is the case here. Permission in principle application will, of course, still be subject to appropriate scale, design and landscaping to be considered at a later date. In conclusion, I hope that members are fully reassured that a suitable density and layout for 3 dwellings can be achieved and that will respond to the landscape and townscape setting of the site. Please give your full approval of your professional planning officer's recommendation, as this is without doubt fully supported by your own adopted planning policy.
3 minutes,
Thank you for
Chairman.
your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Owens. Are there any questions of Mr. Owens for clarification purposes, please? We have Councillor Fitter. Good morning, John. In you go.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Evans, sir, just for clarity, you indicated that the 3 suggested plots would still be bigger than the majority of the plots in this development at Constantine. Was that correct, sir?
Yes, Councillor Fitter, if you look at the site location plan, if Sam can pull that one up, you will see that if you look at the indicative layout and then look at the same size plots on all the immediate neighbours, our plots are actually slightly larger than the immediate neighbours.
Yeah, I have to say in that regard, I just challenge you because I actually went down there yesterday afternoon and drove down the road and around, and certainly the Trotters, which is just down further down the road, is the similar size to the existing site that you've now proposed to develop with 3 houses. As indeed, I think the Chuff is slightly larger than 1/3 of your plot. So it's not quite accurate, is it, sir, to say that, you know, that the 3 proposed plots would still be bigger than the majority of the plots there?
Well, if you look at that plan, Councillor Fitter, you can see that there's the 3 plots immediately to the left. If you fit those plots into our site, it's almost identical in area. So I would say that there are several plots, particularly up to the north of Constantine, that you can see on that plan in front of you, that again, I would say are comparable, if not ours are slightly larger than those plots to the north.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. If you could take your hand down for us, please. Thank you. Martin Eddy, Councillor Eddy.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Evans, one of the considerations we have to look at is well, location, use and development. What is proposed on this site? Are they houses or are they dormer bungalows, or what kind of sort of mass are we looking at with these 3 properties? Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. I mean, at the moment, obviously, as this is a permission in principle, this only seeks permission for literally the principle of 3 houses. The detail of the actual scale, design, landscaping would all need to be subject to a further application to be submitted and approved by the council. So, you know, we would obviously work with your council planning officer to ensure that the development does continue to be in keeping and conserve the character of this part of the settlement and also the wider designated landscape.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Councillor Burton. Neil, for clarification.
Just a quickie. Why do you want to knock down such a substantial house?
It obviously allows for the development of the site. Also, the existing house is, less thermally efficient in terms of, modern dwelling standards. So, yeah, basically, that would be the reason why we would be looking to knock down the existing house. In terms of the development potential of that land with 3 units, it actually helps deliver a better housing, will meet your housing need than trying to secure the existing house being retained and then converted.
Thank you. I'll just have a quick one myself, and I'll come to you, Andrew Long. Just a quick one, Mr. Evans. How many trees are going to be felled on this site? I'm looking in particular at that magnificent tree by the gate there as an example, but how many other trees? Beg your pardon?
Sorry, I don't have the landscaping plan in front of me. I'm not aware that there are any significant trees being removed as a result of the dwellings, but Sam may be able to correct me on that if he's got the landscape plan.
I'll bring it up with Sam later, if you like.
Thank you.
Cross to Councillor Long. Andrew.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Evans. You made a statement to Councillor Fitter earlier on about the overall size. I'm just trying to square the circle when it comes to your comments. Are you suggesting that the 3 properties to the left would fit in with their settings, that property that you're going to be working on? Because looking at the maps, it is quite clear that that's not the case, that actually you're going to severely reduce the amount of space there. So could you just confirm that are you really saying that the those 3 properties, I think I can't see Franklin, the Chuff, and I can't see what the word is for that one, that all of those 3, I cannot see how they fit into that site?
Sorry, Councillor, I can clarify that. Sorry, I was giving an indication that the immediate neighbouring properties are of a comparable size, but the ones that I was saying that are actually smaller in site density, in site area, you can see to the north where you've got a hammerhead grouping of properties. Sam can just outline, no, not those 3, the ones further up. You'll see that there's a whole grouping of properties to the north of this site that I would say can fit into this site.
But would you not agree, sorry to come back to you, would you not agree that you could quite easily say that further over to your west, there are 3 properties there by the junction, which would also be, but they're smaller properties. What we're saying is the settings, would you not agree that the settings of this road and that junction indicate that those 3 properties to the left, is what you said, would actually not fit into that space, and in fact probably 2 would fit into there, but 3 certainly wouldn't?
Right, well, I certainly can help answer that. Because it's a permission in principle application, it would be for the council and for us to work with the council to say, if you're saying those 3 properties that Sam is currently indicating are not appropriate to the site, it is more akin to the design of properties to the north, which I would say certainly would fit into the site. So clearly, if the guidance from the council when we work at the planning application stage, beyond an approval under permission in principle, if that is forthcoming, we could ensure that we respect the character of the locality by getting the footprints of 3 dwellings on the site exactly to match those in the locality.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Andrew. Yeah. No other speakers on my list, Councillor Parsons. So, in which case, we will now go to the divisional member, Councillor Buscombe. Good morning, Richard. You're there, I hope.
I'm here, Mr. Chairman.
Good. You know the procedure. You have 5 minutes maximum, at which time I will be looking for you to wind down. Okay, away you go.
Thank you very much indeed. Good morning, members. May I begin by saying that the principle of development on this site is accepted, as the property lies within the settlement of Constantine Bay. The issue is rather one of character. The area around the site is principally characterised by large properties and generous plots, and whilst the area of the site might seem to be adequate for 3 dwellings, the practicalities suggest otherwise. For example, the site is subject to flooding at its northern part. The effect of the flood risk is that development has to take place in the southern part, so the built form will be pushed into only part of the overall site. This is highlighted in the plan submitted with the application. The result is that the character of the development of 3 houses will be denser and at odds with the surrounding character of the area. Therefore, I urge you to reject this application. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Heavens, Richard, that was very speedy for you. Thank you very much. Any questions of the divisional member for any clarification purposes? No? Fine. In that case, if we go to questions of the planning officer for clarification. Any questions for our case officer? Councillor Bird, you shall up first.
Just quick.
Yeah.
Can I ask the officer why you put granted by recommendation? I thought perhaps it was all done and dusted.
So that's just our recommendation. Sorry if it's worded incorrectly. I mean, it's our recommendation is to grant it rather than it being granted. Sorry.
Right. Councillor Fitter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Sam, I just want to check on the flood risk element. In your report, paragraph 158, 159 and 160, you say in actual fact that the sequential approach it doesn't pass the sequential approach. I think that's correct, sir. Am I right in that assumption? Did I read your paperwork right?
Yeah. So we're saying it does fail the sequential test insofar that we're saying we're in the country network area. There's other sites that will have less flooding risk. I think we're concluding that the flood risk is low and the dwellings will be sited outside those flood zone areas.
Sorry, I gave you the wrong numbers because I was looking at the NPPF, and if we take paragraph 160 of the NPPF, it says that where a application fails the sequential test, there should be an exception test application, and one of the test applications is the development would provide a wider sustainability benefit to the community. And I just wondered what will that wider benefit be?
Well, I guess the wider benefit would be contributing towards the housing densities, and I guess there's other social benefits and there's environmental benefits as well. So I think those are the public benefits we'd probably outline.
Did you say contribute to the wider density of the development? Sorry.
No. So I guess it's the housing. Contribution towards kind of the wider, I guess.
Yeah, I only asked that because that particular community network area has well succeeded in their numbers. I think they're 270, 250 houses ahead of their 1,000 target, aren't they, at the moment? So there is no need for further. We meet our 2030 target date for that area.
Yeah, I mean, all I can say in response to that is that I guess that number is a minimum. There's windfall sites which we allocate, I guess, obviously such as this one here.
Okay, thanks very much, Sam. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. The only hand I have up is Neil Burdens. Is it still remaining up from last time, Neil, or a fresh one?
Sorry, my fault.
Fine. In which case, no other hands up, Chair. Vice Chair, can you confirm, please?
That's correct, Chairman.
Fine. In that case, we will go into open debate. Who would like to start the open debate, please?
I will, if you like, Chairman.
Is that Jim?
Jim. Yeah.
Jim, fine. Okay, Jim.
Well, as this is only a formality as far as the detail goes, I shall recommend approval.
Fine. Okay. Our next speaker is Nick Craker. Nick?
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, I'm happy to second Councillor Flashburn for reasons as set out in the report. I think there are some issues that still need to be addressed here, but they won't be addressed at this stage with permission in principle. When a full application is submitted, which shows the comprehensive designs and plans, we'll be able to assess it then. But at this stage, I don't think there's any policy reasons to refuse permission in principle for free dwellings on this site.
Thank you. There was one point I forgot to ask of Sam. The trees, Sam, is there anything on the trees in the landscaping?
Yeah, I mean, we won't want to lose that magnificent tree to the south there. I don't think that's proposed to be removed. Obviously, at technical detail stage, if we get there, we'll request a landscaping plan and see what trees will be retained, and contributed towards as well, additional trees if it need be. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Holly.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I just ask Sam? Just to clarify this, is there anything in the NPPF or in the local plan that would object to the indicative house size and the area allocated to each house? I know it's indicative. Anything at all?
I guess you can draw onto housing densities, whether the housing densities on that site of 3 is in conflict or contradictory towards the surrounding or wider housing densities. I'd say that probably is something you look at.
But not Sam, if you include the houses to the south, that row of 4 houses. It's in line with those, isn't it?
Yeah, in our opinion, yes. Yeah. So,
Okay. That's all I want to know. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Derek. Councillor Fitter, John. Hello, John. You there?
Yes, there we are, Mr. Chairman. Sorry about that there. Yeah, I find it difficult, in actual fact, not to take notice of the views of the objectors and which have been noted in the report, and also the objectors' representative. This is a carefully designed housing development down there, and certainly this 3 houses on this site will, I believe, in actual fact, be contrary to that development. We've had the position, and the officer himself has indicated that it's failed one section of the flood risk assessment. But the thing that does concern me, we have the Cornwall Landscape Character Best Practice Guide, which was adapted by Cornwall Council back in 2011. And we do have settlement patterns, and one of the settlement patterns says, does the proposal reflect and respect the existing settlement pattern? Well, it doesn't, in actual fact. It clearly does not. You have on this road, you have this up at, I suppose it's the eastern end of this line of houses, you have the proposed site. Down the other end, the northern end, you have trotters of the same size, and in between you have 5 houses creating the road. You will break that settlement pattern. And also on the settlement pattern, it also asks the question, the guide asked the question, the cumulative effect of the development needs to be considered, as this can have a detrimental impact on the landscape character. Well, this does have a detrimental landscape. It's bound to have, it be in the fact that you're having 3 houses where there was just 1 house and surrounded by green space. So I believe it does have that. I'm also noted, and I find it the silence of the ANOB. They visited the site and they have no comment to make, which means in actual fact they neither approve or disapprove. So we are allowed ourselves to make up our own mind on that, Mr. Chairman. And I do believe in actual fact that in the overall character of the ANOB, it will have, I believe, a negative effect. Constantine is a pretty special place down there, and it's been sympathetically designed. And of course, it will add to the housing target that we seek to achieve, but I suspect that it will not add to the housing target that many of us as councillors we aspire to achieve, that is housing for the rural population of Cornwall. I'll say no more than that, but I am, and of course also in actual fact is it's already been said that the target in this community network area has already been met, and whilst we're 200 odd in front at the moment. So I'll leave it at that, Mr. Chairman. I certainly will not be support. I would support refusal, and if I'm on the committee when it came back, I would support 2 houses on the site. Regretfully, I believe in actual fact it should be a 1-for-1 replacement. But if it was the will of the parish council and the local community, and it seems to be, they've said it can be redeveloped, I would support 2, but 3 I will not. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, John. Councillor Eddie Martin.
Thank you, Chairman. I have some sympathy with Councillor Fitter's views. I don't think the AONB are mute on this. I'm looking at their letter there, and they say we do not object in principle to a sensitive redevelopment of the site, but consider that the development of 3 dwellings on this site may be uncharacteristically dense given the existing character of the settlement. So we've already seen that part of the site is constrained by a flood risk, hence increasing the density of these 3 dwellings. I'm concerned that we will end up with very large dwellings on a small site. I know that the mass of the dwelling is there to be negotiated later on, Chairman, but I'm uneasy about the density of this site. As you drive around, it's quite a characteristic area. These houses sat within these really quite generous plots, and so I'm not supporting the recommendation as proposed, Chairman.
Thank you, Martin. Councillor Parsons, followed by Councillor Mould then.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, just to say, it's very similar to the last application where I often feel members try to be sympathetic to all those involved, sometimes perhaps forgetting we have an MPPF to work to. This is a permission in principle application. I think Councillor Craker outlined his reasons very well, and for that I will be supporting this application.
Thank you. Councillor Mould, Carol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I completely agree with Councillor Fitter. You know, I think we really must be listening. Nobody is saying they don't want this knocked down and rebuilt. Nobody is saying that they don't want it developed. What they're actually saying is we'll be happy with 2 and not 3 because 3 constitutes overdevelopment. For me, it's a simple equation, you know, and I would rather hope that the developers listen to this and come back and say, you know, we'll do 2 instead of 3 because we hear what everybody's saying. I doubt that will happen, but I shan't be voting for this for that very reason. Thank you.
Thank you. According to my list, no other speakers showing up. Vice Chair? Vice Chair?
That's it, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Right. In that case, we have a proposal by Councillor Flashman, seconded by Councillor Craker, to approve in line with recommendation by our case officer. I don't think there's anything else that needs to be added to this, Davina?
No, Chairman, I don't think at this stage there's anything else that needs to be added. Thank you.
Fine, thank you. In that case, cross to Rowena to carry out the roll call, please.
Thank you. When I call your name, please indicate how you wish to vote. Councillor Burden?
Against.
Councillor Craker?
For.
Councillor Eddy?
Against.
Councillor Flashman?
For.
Councillor Fitter?
Against.
Councillor Holly?
For.
Councillor Jordan?
Against.
Councillor Long?
For.
Councillor May? Councillor May, can you indicate how you wish to vote, please?
Against.
Councillor Mould?
Against.
Councillor Pascoe?
For.
Councillor Pugh?
Against.
Councillor Tamlin?
For.
Councillor Parsons?
For.
Councillor Batters?
Against.
Okay. So the motion for approval has been lost by 7 votes to 8, Chairman.
Thank you. In that case, we need a proposition now from one of our members towards the refusal of this application. We come back to possibly Martin, Carol, John Fitter. You were speaking against. We're looking for a proposer and seconder, please.
Hello, Mr. Chairman. It's sorry, John Fitter's got his hand.
Yeah, carry on, Carol. Go on. You carry on.
Yeah, I'm happy to propose a refusal on the issue of overdevelopment of the site and the impact that has on the surrounding area. I think, I think I would much rather see 2 than 3, but I'd need some wording, and I'm hoping Councillor Fitter will come back with some appropriate words from his statement.
Yeah, can do. And also, of course, we do have their senior officer present. But John, are you happy to second that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm more than happy to second it. Carol has expressed, I believe, it's overdevelopment of the site, and right. I don't think it respects the local character of the area.
Okay, if we cross now to Sam or Davina for your input on this, please.
Yep, certainly, Chairman. So as a permission in principle, we can obviously only look at the in this respect, in terms of members' concerns, the quantum of the development proposed. So what we're thinking in terms of a draft reason based on the debate is the proposed introduction of 3 dwellings onto the site would result in a quantum of development that would represent a cramped and overdeveloped form, where the density of development would be out of character with the surrounding pattern of development in the area. The application is therefore contrary to policies 2 and 12 of the Cornwall Local Plan and paragraphs 122, 124, 127 and 130 of the MPPF.
Thank you very much. Carol, John, are you happy with that wording?
More than happy,
yes.
Mr. Chairman. If
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Very happy, thank you.
Fine. In that case, across to you again, Rowena, for the vote on the recommendations they've just heard.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Burden.
Support the refusal.
Councillor Craker.
Against.
Councillor Eddy.
Support.
Councillor Flashman.
Against.
Councillor Fitter.
Support.
Councillor Holly.
Against.
Councillor Jordan.
For.
Councillor Long.
Against.
Councillor May.
For.
Councillor Mould.
For.
Councillor Pascoe.
Against.
Councillor Pugh.
For.
Councillor Tamlin.
Against.
Councillor Parsons.
Against.
And Councillor Batters.
For the recommendation.
Thank you. So this application has been refused by 8 votes to 7, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I think what we'll do now, if everyone's happy, is have perhaps a 10-minute break for a cup of tea or a comfort break. Can even be 5 minutes if you wish, but I mean, if we say 10?
10's fine, yeah.
Okay, so what is it now? We're back in then at
10 past 12.
Sorry?
10 past 12.
All right, that gives 12 minutes actually. Okay, I'll be generous. Okay, remember we are live stream. If you can ensure your microphones and your cameras are off, please ensure that. Otherwise, it becomes a little bit of a, party time, which we don't want. Okay, so see you at 10 past. Thank you.
Councillor Batters, are you there?
Yes, I am. Who might that be?
It's Jane.
Jane, yes, hi.
Hi there. This morning, before you were able to connect, I mentioned to Rowena, I'm required us in the Rural and Coastal Inquiries at 1:30 today. I'm committed to that because they're barely quorate. So I've asked if I may be excused at an appropriate time near to that.
Yes, certainly.
As long as we're not in debate. I just wanted to know I'm not just disappearing.
Oh, that's all right. No, that's fine.
I'm sorry about that, but generally we're usually through everything by 1:30 and then scheduled it and I responded. Sorry.
Well, I assure you, as always, we should be looking to do it as speedily as possible today, but in such a way that no one can say they haven't had the opportunity, you know, but that's right. Thanks for telling me.
No, just so as I don't have to interrupt you in midstream. Okay.
Thank you very much.
That's
yes.
okay.
Thank you.
That's all right.
Right. My clock on my laptop, Cornwall Council laptop, is ticked over to 12:10. Rowena, can you just run through to make sure everyone is back on air, please?
Yes, Chairman. I'll just do a quick roll call. Can you just confirm that you're present, please? Councillor Burden? Councillor Burden, can you confirm you're back, please? Okay, I'll carry on with the others. Councillor Craker?
Yes, I'm here, Rowena.
Thank you. Councillor Eddy?
Here.
Councillor Flashman? Councillor Flashman, can you confirm that you're back, please?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Fitter?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Holly?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Jordan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. Councillor Long?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor May?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Mould?
Thanks, Rowena. I'm here.
Thank you. Councillor Pascoe?
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Pugh?
Here.
Thank you. Councillor Tamlin.
Yeah, present.
Thank you. Councillor Parsons.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Batters.
Present.
Thank you. Councillor Burden, can you confirm that you're back, please?
Perhaps Angela could give him a ring.
Councillor Burden, you're on mute. Can you just confirm if you're back from the break, please?
It's Angela, meeting producer. I'll give him a quick call.
Yes, okay, Angela, thank you. We'll just wait a few moments because obviously it's if he's only going to be a few moments, we can allow him that time to connect. So are you there yet, Neil?
Chairman, it's Angela, meeting producer. I think Councillor Burden might be back with us now.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'll put you on my Christmas list for a wristwatch, Neil.
Did you want me?
Well, I wouldn't say that, no, but you are supposed to be present. But anyway,
I am present.
Well, you weren't just now when we were trying to confirm everything. But anyway, you're back now.
Yeah.
So we now move on to application number 3, which is PA 20 07365, land north of Wishford Cottage, Treligga Downs Road, Delabow. And it's being presented by Richard White. Across to you, Richard.
Thank you, Chairman. I'll just attempt to share my screen. Is that coming up at all at the moment?
Not at the moment, Richard. No. It's coming now, I think. Right. We're almost there.
How's that? Is that appearing now?
Well, we got a list of files up here at the moment, not a particular file.
Is that changed yet?
Not on mine, and I don't suppose it has on anyone else's.
Let me just try again.
At the moment, just got the 3D objects, music, desktop pictures.
I'll just try again. Bear with me a second.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Apologies for this. It doesn't seem to be appearing on my screens to share.
Right.
Chairman, would you like me to get it open on my screen on behalf?
If you could, Davina, if that's possible, yes, please.
Yeah, it'll just take me a minute just to open the file, but I'll give it a go.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is that appearing yet, or is it?
I've just got RW in the middle of my screen, just flashing on and off, sort of thing.
Chairman, it's Angela Saunders, meeting producer. Do you want me to try sharing it from my screen?
Davina's just offered. I don't know how far Davina is on with it.
Somebody's just managed to.
Angela, it might be worth it. I'm trying to open the file, but at the moment I can't even open the file. So if you can give it a go, that would be great, please.
Thank you.
I'll have a go. Although I can't see the options.
Mr. Chairman, we could do the next one while the planning officer's trying to do it.
It just depends how close they might be, Derek. If it's possible to...
Yeah, Davina, it's Angela here. I can't seem to find it.
Okay, don't worry. I think mine is now just starting to open. So if it can get itself going, we'll be there.
Okay. Yeah, I think we'll stick with it just for a moment or two, Derek. I was of a mind to do that, but it's just like, you know, I thought a couple more minutes and then we can determine exactly where we are. But you might say it's refreshing that it's not us to blame this time, the members.
Unusual, but refreshing.
How's it going, Davina?
It's going very steady for some reason. It's like there's an issue on the network, but it is coming. If you can just bear with for a minute.
Yes, fine.
I got it on.
Right, we have got in front of us now.
That was Richard again, I think.
Yeah.
There's
there we are. Right, we're there. There we are there. Thank you very much, Davina. I take it that was you, was it, or?
Yeah, I think so. I just want to be absolutely certain it's working a second, though, Chairman, because it is having a bit of a moment on me. Can you just confirm if I just move along that it will actually work in terms of moving along the presentation?
Yes, do so. Yes, no problem.
No, did anything change then?
Not at the moment. No, we're still on the initial. Yes, that's come up. Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. We can do it that way. Okay,
Right.
Thank you.
So Richard will be asking you to pass on, will he? Right. Okay, Richard, back to you. Where you go then? Oh, we've lost Richard now, have we? Are you there, Richard?
I think he's on mute. There he is.
There. Okay, Richard. Right, away you go.
Okay, so yeah, this is item 4.3. It's a full application for 3 dwellings. It looks to modify an existing field access to provide access for the 3 properties. There will be additional Cornish hedging, drainage system, and some additional planting, particularly an area of tree planting to the southeast of the dwellings. Can I have the next slide, please? So the key issues relate to the location of residential development and whether it complies with either policy 3, 7 or 21 of the Cornwall local plan. There is no neighbourhood plan for this particular location. The key issue is also whether the site is previously developed, and a further matter is therefore the impact on the wider AONB and Heritage Coast landscape which the site sits within. Okay. So this is just a wider location plan. The horizontal line hatching there shows the extent of the area of outstanding natural beauty and the heritage coast. So you can see the application within that. You can see the built form of Delabold to the sort of east southeast of that. which is obviously slightly more denser urban form at that point. Okay. A slightly more detailed site plan. The dotted lines show the public rights of way which cross the land, and again you can see the sort of built form of Delabole, the denser built form to the east of the application site. Okay. And as an aerial view, again showing the site context, lies within existing pasture at the moment. Okay. These are the plans submitted with the application. So this shows the site's block plan, the layout plan for the 3 dwellings, and the triangular area of planting to the southeast of the dwellings. And obviously that's got the existing block plan. There's a small rectangle to the sort of northwest side of that, which is apparently a former World War II block-built structure. And there was some sort of remnants of a structure to its southeast as well. You can see in the photo there's very small, but it's quite overgrown. I've got some more detailed photos of that to show you later on. And again, a sort of existing block plan, and the yellow area showing the area to be planted with trees and shrubs. Again, a block plan layout and showing the upgraded access leading into all 3 properties and maintaining a field access to the land behind as well. Slightly more detailed section through the site showing the heights of the properties in relation to the properties on the southern side of the road, and obviously some of the landscaping proposed, including a hedge bank. Again, another section from the roadside looking at the development and showing some of the landscaping retained as well. The area of tree planting to the southeast corner of the site and the detail for that. And some further ecological and landscaping proposals for the site. These are the elevational details for the properties. They're fairly comparable, all 3 properties. They're mostly single story, but they do include a small room in the roof space. Again, similar property. The application is supported by some photographs from various viewpoints showing the site, so they've been included in the presentation. That shows the viewpoints from each of the photos that are below. These are submitted by the agent with the application. So we can come back to these, but effectively they show the application site from various viewpoints. The image one's from Trilliger Downs Road, with a neighbouring garage in the foreground there next to a gate. The car is parked in the site entrance where the proposed access will be via the existing field access. The image 2, you can see the properties, neighbouring properties to the east of the site in the more dense sort of urban form there. And image 3, you can just make out the gable elements of what remains of the World War II structure in the foreground of that photo. There's a bit of material there, which I think was apparently another structure, but it's all very overgrown at present. Okay. These are further photos submitted by the agent. Image 9 is looking across the field towards the application site with the neighbouring property on the opposite side of the road. It's one of 2 that sort of sits slightly outside the built form there of the settlement. Again, that's the derelict structure that's referred to. And again, looking back across the field from the sort of northerly direction back towards the application site. So these are the photos that I've taken when I've been out on the site visits. So that's the site access. That's the field gate. You can just make out the gable of the World War II structure in behind there, behind the hedge. Okay. This is looking eastwards along Trilliger Down Roads, back to the built form of Delabole. Again, this is looking sort of coastwards, really, sort of from the neighbouring driveway, looking down the road to show the access. You can just see to the right hand of that slide the field access into the site. And this is a view. This sort of overgrown area in the foreground is remnants of part of the site where apparently there was a structure, but as I said, it's fairly overgrown. You can't really see anything in there of particular merit. And this is looking over that same area of ground back towards the property that lies on the opposite side of the road from the application site to the south. And that's the slightly larger area of remains of the World War II building to the corner of the site. Again, similar photos showing both areas. So on the right hand side, you've got the building. On the left, you've got the overgrown area where there's some remnants of the building. This is looking back from the adjoining lane back towards the application site across the two fields. You've got the hedge bank in the middle. So this is looking from the northeast towards the site from a public right of way. Okay. And again, a distant view is a bit difficult to make out, but that's back towards that neighbouring property on the opposite side of the road from the sort of corner of that field from the public right of way. A slightly more detailed view. These are the couple of properties that lie just in the corner of the AONB. I think that the one to the far end of that row that you can see is Celtic, and that has a bit of curtilage that extends along that field boundary, just where the cursor is. Okay. So the balance of considerations, it's not considered to represent an infill site. I mean, there's no development to the west of the land or to the north. It is open pasture, and it's not considered to, on that basis, not considered to round off the settlement either. Therefore, contrary to policy 3, it doesn't propose the reuse of the structure that is left on site, however good the condition of that is. So it doesn't sort of comply with policy 7 from that point of view. It's acknowledged that there is a bit of overgrown derelict structure on the site. Obviously, it's debatable whether that in itself is enough to represent previously developed land. The NPPF does include a definition of what is, and that's referred to in the report. And in some cases, sites can return back to nature and become overgrown where they're not considered to be previously developed anymore. So from that point of view, it would be considered contrary to policy 21. And by virtue of no support in location terms for housing in that location, it would erode the openness of the area of outstanding natural beauty and the heritage coast by introducing development that's not supported by other policies of the plan, therefore contrary to policies 2 and 23 of the local plan. And therefore the recommendation is to refuse. There is an update. St Teth Parish Council have supported the application, although there's no further comments other than support, and Tintagel Parish Council have deferred the decision to St Teth Parish Council in this regard. The site overlaps the two areas. Okay, thank you very much, Chairman.
Thank you, Richard. Right, the first speaker on my list is Roland Uglow. Are you there, Roland, please?
I am indeed. Yes,
good morning to you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, I should say. But you have 3 minutes to state your case. We will give you 30 seconds warning before the end. And if you could hold on for any questions that might be forthcoming. So when you're ready, away you go. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman and committee members. My name is Roland Uglow and I'm the applicant. My family have farmed trichine since 1852, so my knowledge of Delabow and affinity runs pretty deep. A great attention has been given to the design and nature of this proposed development, and this applies to the layout, the access, avoiding conflict with the public footpath, use of natural stones, slate roofs or low ridges, low-level garden lights, Cornish hedging, and extensive planting of the frontage hedge, tree planting area east of the public footpath, and also strong environmental and ecological details. A significant part of this application site is previously developed land, and that's obvious from the physical remains of the Second World War structures, an adjacent despoiled site where a second such building was demolished for safety reasons. Submitted photographs will make this clear. Also clear from the drawings, much of the site runs adjacent to the garden of the neighbouring property, Celtic. There are two houses on the opposite side of the Treligger Downs Road, and therefore the application site is connected to the existing development on said road and not isolated or sporadic. There are also no clear breaks between existing and proposed properties and within the 30-mile-an-hour speed limit signs. The AONB repeats comments made in our response to our previous withdrawn application, but there are significant changes to the proposal since then, and so really how can their original comments still apply? Unobstructed views to the site will only be from the footpath crossing the field to the north, and other public sight lines will be limited to the existing hedges and top growth. Beyond the immediate area, there will be very few or no material sight lines due to the Cornish hedges. There's top growth and topography of the land also shows the views as well. In my statement, Section 10 considers the extent of the public viewpoints towards the site from within and near the AONB, and additional drawing Q has been sent to the planning officer demonstrating the situation, which I think you've seen. Natural England has made no comment, and our proposals are unlikely to have a major impact on the AONB. Thank you very much for listening and giving due consideration to our proposal. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. If you'd like to hold just for a moment, are there any questions of the speaker for clarification purposes, please? None showing up. Is that right, Vice Chair?
That's correct, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ogle, in that case. You can obviously listen to the remainder of the discussion on the application via the live stream. Thank you for attending.
I will with interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker then, in that case, is the divisional member. We have two, by the looks of it, speaking here. We'll start with Barry. You have 5 minutes, Barry. I will expect you to have wound down by that 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you, Chairman. When I first saw this application, I thought AONB, I don't know. But Mr. Mrs. Hugo invited me to go out and have a look at the site. As soon as I saw it, I'm thinking, where's the harm in building 3 bungalows? The harm is already there. The structures that are there are derelict and they're previously developed. They were developed by the by the MOD, and they should go. It is previously developed land, and you can say whatever you like. If a building, if a structure's been put on some land, it's previously developed land. I refer to PA 19-03692, which is land that's 2 miles away from me. It's just on the edge of my division, at Trisbarrett Post, and somebody put some concrete in the ground, built some sheds, no planning permission or anything, applied for planning permission. And when I got Louise Wood out here, because we were overruled, the parish council objected, the AONB objected, everybody objected. I got Louise Wood out here and she said, oh, it's previously developed land. Well, if that's previously developed land, this is previously developed land. We have to have some consistency, or what are we doing? You know, something's gone wrong here. Somebody cut off my camera, or it's me. And I refer to Hansard, Mr. Chairman, which is dated 12th of March, which I would have used in the last application when it came in. And it says, the laws have changed beyond recognition since the Town and Country Planning Act 1947. The planning system has not kept pace. We intend to change this. So we'll be reviewing our approach to planning to ensure that our system enables more homes to come forward in places that people most want to live, with jobs, transport links and other amenities on their doorsteps. And it goes on to say, we are encouraging local communities to take innovative routes to meet housing needs in their areas. Through new planning freedoms, we are introducing the freedom to build upwards on existing buildings. And today I'm announcing, this is from Robert Jenrick. Today I'm announcing a new right to allow vacant, commercial, industrial, residential blocks to be demolished and replaced with well-designed new residential units that meet high quality standards, including on new natural light standards. And we are granting permission to build across the country. And that is from Hansard. And there's another one that's very important. And it says, we will build more homes, we'll help more people on the housing ladder, and we will do a duty to future generations to ensure that those homes are built in a way that is beautiful and sustainable, creating a legacy on which we can all be proud. And that is from Hansard. That's from Robert Jenrick on the planning things. This is not setting a precedent. It is taking some land that's been used and now gone derelict because the MOD didn't clear it up. And they've left those structures there on Mr. Uglow's land. And he wants to clear them out of the way and put in nice new bungalows. They won't be seen from anywhere. The houses opposite the road are massive, as you could see from the photographs. I don't think Richard did justice in the photographs of the buildings and the land that was there. So I take issue on that, because when you actually see it in the real light on the field, it is appalling. So the harm is there. If we want to get rid of the harm, we allow Mr. Uglow to build these 3 bungalows. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Dominic, are you there?
I am, Chair.
Right, you have 5 minutes, at which time I'll be looking for you to wind down as well. So when you're ready, away you go. Thank you.
Thank you. So you'll note from the supplement pack that Tintagel Parish Council felt that this should be deferred to St F Parish Council and that they registered support for the application. I was invited for a site visit by one of St F Parish Council's planning committee to understand their support for the application. The site is not only on the edge of the village of Delabole, but also on the very edge of the parish of Tintagel and the area of outstanding natural beauty. Recently, there was a pre-application by a national developer for 70 houses just yards from this application in the field south of Wishford Cottage. This did not receive community support, and as the parish councillor observed to me, they would much rather see small-scale organic growth in the village, just as the application before you, which allows the community time to adjust. The report says that it's arguable whether the site represents previously developed land, given that the former World War II airfield structures are derelict and overgrown. It should be noted that in the eyes of the community, these structures have been a permanent feature since the war, with a roof on one and another removed in recent times for safety reasons. From the point of view of the parish council, this is unequivocally previously developed land. The ANOB officer has acknowledged that the revised plans moderate the harm while maintaining their objection. The bar for developments in the ANOB is quite rightly set very high, with a requirement that new houses enhance and conserve the natural beauty of the area. I would argue in this case that the harm is very limited. The only view of the site from the AONB is from the fields and footpath walking northeast away from the site. The current view, if you look back, is the abandoned structures with a Cornish hedge behind and the 2-storey Wishford Cottage and home park beyond that. Should the application be passed, the view back will be a new Cornish hedge with houses behind. Very little will have changed. In fact, with the removal of the disused wartime structures and the use of single-storey houses, you could argue that the view will have been improved. Given all this, I feel the application offers a windfall planning opportunity on previously developed land with parish council support and little harm to the surrounding area, which could, bearing in mind the houses opposite, be quite fairly deemed as rounding off under our current policies. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Dominic. Councillor Parsons, you got your hand up. Did you want to ask a question of the divisional members?
If possible, Chairman, just for clarification, please.
Yeah.
Thank you. It was initially to Councillor Jordan, but perhaps to Councillor Fairman as well. Being the local members with local knowledge on the ground, I was just interested to know if you considered the properties to the south and the east to be detached from the settlement of Delabole, or if you considered them to be part of the defined settlement, please.
I would have said they're part of the defined settlement, but Dominic would know more than me, he lives there.
Yeah, so thanks for your question, Adrian. So I'd consider them part of the settlement because as you're walking down the road, the houses on the right, meet the houses on the left, if you know what I mean. So there's not a gap of, you're not conscious of the gap as you go down the road between Delabole and those two houses of Wishford Cottage and Home Park.
Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Fitter, clarification?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chairman. It's just I wondered if Dominic or Barry could just indicate to us they were previously MOD buildings. could you tell us what use they were put to while they were being used by the MOD?
They're for the Air Force, I believe, aren't they, Dominic?
Yeah, potentially it was going to be an airfield that was never finished or never used, I think.
Right, thank you very much. So they weren't strategically important. They weren't used for any activities which could consider that there could be a contamination land issue there.
No.
No, nothing like that.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. I think Churchill might have considered it as his headquarters at one stage, but I think he changed his mind. But okay, no other questions or clarification. In that case, we'll move to questions for clarification purposes of the officer, of Richard. So, John, are you still up for a question on that, are you? John Fitter, your hand was still up. He's down now. Right. Andrew, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chairman. It's a question for the officer. I've noticed looking on Google Maps, other map companies are available, that the national speed limit sign, deregulation sign, appears to be opposite the second to last bungalow. Is that the case? So that where it goes into what I would consider to be unfettered speed, sadly, is past those bungalows?
Off the top of my head, I can't recall, but I can double check that for you fairly quickly if that's.
Yeah, it's just I'm conscious of some of the comments made by the divisional members regarding its connection to the village of Jellabol itself, and they're obviously looking at the maps and looking at the photographs and looking at Google Earth. It does seem to be saying something different, and I just wanted to have a look at that and just get confirmation that what I'm looking at on the Google Earth shows the national speed limit applies probably
it is
at the end of the first bungalow.
Based on the mapping system, it's within the 30 limit, so that starts west of Home Park. So the site entrance is within the 30-mile-an-hour limit.
You're saying it's within the 30-mile-an-hour limit?
Based on our mapping system, yeah, it's showing that.
Okay, all right. That does seem to be very different to what Google Earth is saying. Google Earth is saying the national speed limit, i.e. the deregulation, occurs when the three bungalows, as you head out on the road, on the right-hand side, the first of those bungalows seems to be where the national speed limit applies sign is.
Yeah, it does. I can only go on our mapping system. Obviously, I don't have a photo of where the speed limit starts, right. But it's on the mapping system. Okay. It does show it west of Home Park and Wishford Cottage.
Okay, lovely. Thank you very much.
Any other questions for clarification of the officer, please? Nothing showing up. Is that correct? Well, Adrian, I was just going to ask you, but obviously you come on as well.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, I just thought perhaps I could put the same question to the planning officer as I put to the divisional members. For what reason, Richard, do you feel that the houses to the south and the east don't form part of the defined settlement, please?
Hi there. Yeah, I think there is a break to Wishford and Home Park. They do sit alone to a certain degree on that southern side of the road. There is a field obviously to their eastern side before you get back to the built form. The three sort of smaller properties on Treligger Downs Road to the east of the application site do sort of form the fringe of the built form, although it becomes much more dense obviously as you move into the development to the east of that again, where there's a much higher density of residential development, and the site was considered not really to adjoin that from a policy point of view. Obviously if it doesn't adjoin, and it wasn't rounding off in our opinion based on the lack of any sort of boundary to the north. There are hedge banks to the west, but they're repeated consistently through that landscape, so those aren't in themselves a hard boundary which sort of prevents further development. So it wasn't considered to be a site that immediately adjoined the settlement, and therefore obviously it did it wasn't supported by policy 3, whether or not it's previously developed. Obviously policy 3 does require that previously developed land adjoins the settlement, and obviously we took the view that it didn't in this particular case, whether or not you want to debate whether it's previously developed or not.
Fine. Okay. We have no other questions of the officers. So in that case, we move into open debate. Who would like to start the open debate, please? Don't all rush at once. Who would like to start the open debate? Right. Derek Holly. Councillor Holly, followed by Councillor Long. Councillor Holly.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've been looking at the policy 21, best use of land in existing buildings. And the narrative does qualify the use of it by saying that previously developed land must consider the suitability of the site in terms of accessibility and of location. In other words, where it is. And this is where it fails, this one, in my opinion. I don't think this is. I think this just extends the straggle of houses down the road. And as such, it's not really what we're trying to do in Cornwall. We're trying to make the houses part of existing settlements in a sort of sensible form. So I think the planning, this is on edge, this one obviously, but I think the planning officer on balance has got this right, and so I'll be supporting the refusal, Mr. Chairman.
Are you proposing acceptance in line with the recommendation?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Next speaker was Councillor Long, followed by Councillor Parsons.
And me, Jim.
Yeah, just to let you know, Councillor Flashman did put his name in as well, I think before me.
Oh, right. Okay, Jim, do you want to speak then?
So I was.
Yeah.
I'll happily speak now, and then Councillor Flashman after if you want. It's just
okay. Yeah, go on.
I don't want him to get missed out.
Okay, you go.
I'm of the opinion of very similar to Derek's, to Councillor Holly's, which you'll be surprised with. I'm looking at this completely objectively. I'm looking at the map. I'm looking at the locations. I cannot clear mind the fact that it is not open land, open countryside. I think it's too far detached from the built environment, and therefore I can't see that this would be building adjacent to or infill or rounding off. This just seems to be too far out. Irrespective of the previously built land, there is still a proviso that it needs to be adjacent to, and I don't think it's the adjacent to bit that it doesn't conform to. So therefore, I'll second Councillor Holly's proposal to refuse in line with officer recommendations.
Okay, Jim, we'll come to you now.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. There was some disappointment about where the 30-mile-an-hour limit sign is, but usually when they're adjusting them for safety, they would take it past the footpath entrance, and anywhere where they think that the road is dangerous as far as traffic needs to slow down for pedestrian access. I can clearly see this is a brownfield site, but I'm very surprised that the planning officer hadn't said that it would be an infill site, which is fairly obvious to me and probably some of the other councillors, that there is development on the south of the site and to the east, almost abutting the brownfield site. Although it hadn't been recognised as brownfield, anywhere where the structures been put up, some probably a lot earlier than the Second World War, we have given planning permission on sites where some of these buildings are 1700, and some of these have been only footprints. We've still allowed them to be used as previous developed land. I certainly won't be supporting the objection because we have been told by government that we should be supporting the farmers in our area, and I believe that the farm recently has been upgraded, spent something like £2 million on putting in robots and new buildings, and the farmer obviously wouldn't be selling any fields, but he feels probably this is one way forward of raising some capital to meet that expanse for his business. And I would have really liked to have seen the land agent making a report to support him. So I should be going, if I could get a seconder, I would actually propose that we accept this application. I think it's close enough to the village to be an asset rather than against it. And I would like to support the parish council as well and the divisional member. Thank you.
Fine. We come to Councillor Fitter, followed by Councillor Parsons.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll be brief. I will be not supporting approval as set out. I'm sorry, I missed. I will be supporting the approval of this application purely because, in actual fact, I'm aware that all over the county of Cornwall, and certainly in the parish of my division, we have allowed previous MOD buildings that have not been taken down to be converted into houses or to be knocked down and a house built on the site because it's been previous developed land. I'm also persuaded by the two Cornwall councillors who have a vast knowledge of the area that this would be a sensible development in the interest of the community of Delabole. And I think that's what it's all about. It's what's in the best interest of the community of Delabole and what will be the harm. And as I understand it, the harm will be not taken, the harm is not proven by taking away the derelict buildings and building the free bungalows there, which are adjacent to the community of Delabole. So, yes, Mr. Chairman, I will not be supporting refusal of this application. Thank you, sir.
Fine, thank you, John. Adrian?
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, it annoys me a little bit when we have sites with built form that have a history of previous usage. To me, that would imply that they are previously developed land. They have no agricultural value, so it's not agricultural land, that's for sure. As Councillor Fitter said, we have allowed these types of developments pass in times gone by. We have buildings to the south and the east. For me, it satisfies me that it does constitute a rounding off site. Delabole is well, as far as I'm concerned, it's a good village. It's a sustainable village. They have bus routes, they have shops, they have local community groups. It's a thriving village, and in this instance, I think their views should be respected. So, well, in fact, I'd be happy to second Councillor Flashman's.
Well, we'll come to that shortly. I mean, we've got a proposal in the pot already.
Yeah, that's fine.
That
Thank you.
falls, and we'll be coming back. Councillor Burden, followed by Councillor Craker.
Yeah. Can I congratulate or compliment the application on the design and use of local materials and fenestration? It's lovely to see it. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if it's going to get through, but I do feel that the applicant has tried, and I give them credit for that. But what concerns me is that distance from the built community, and also setting the precedence for the land in between. That is the struggle I have, and I shall ponder on it. But well done to the design and use of local materials. That's brilliant.
Thank you. Over to you, Nick.
Thank you, Chairman. I won't say and repeat what's already been said. I agree with quite a lot of it. I will be supporting the application. I think we must always consider that any application that we assess is a presumption in favour of sustainable development. I've heard from the local members that they consider it sustainable, and I'm not convinced by the report that this would do any harm. So I'll be supporting the application.
Fine, thank you. No other signs on the no hands up. So in that case, we will go to the vote, which is proposed by Councillor Holly and
Chair. Sorry to interrupt you. Councillor Long's hand has gone up.
Oh, that's since I looked at it. He's
yeah, sorry. I didn't mean
okay.
Yes.
Andrew, I'll come back to you for a quick one.
My apologies. It was just I had to respond to Councillor Parsons' intimation. I'm sure he didn't mean that, but it's not a question of whether we respect or don't respect the wishes of the local community. And I would hesitate. I would be dread to think that he is suggesting that either myself or Councillor Holly are not respecting the local community. What we're talking about is policy, and that's the only thing we're talking about is policy. So I would hope, whether you agree or disagree, that's not a problem. We're all entitled to our own opinion, but I'm sure that's not what Councillor Parsons implied.
No, I think Councillor Parsons' knuckles are probably still stinging there, Andrew. Right, we have a proposal by Councillor Holly, seconded by Councillor Long, for refusal as recommended by our planning officer. Now, can we make it clear that you are either voting for refusal or against refusal? I think sometimes there's too many words added to this and we end up somewhat a little bit confused at times. So we're actually voting now for refusal or against refusal. Pass it across to you, Rowena.
Thank you, Chairman. Councillor Burden.
Apology, I have to abstain.
Okay, Councillor Craker.
Against refusal.
Councillor Eddy.
Against.
Councillor Flashman.
Against.
Peter.
Against refusal.
Councillor Holly.
For refusal.
Hello?
Councillor Long, can you indicate how you wish to vote?
Yeah, we didn't hear you that time.
No, that's right. The last one we heard, Rowena, was Councillor Holly, I think. You're breaking up a bit there at the moment. Yeah, you are breaking up. Davino, could you step in there? Are you on the list?
Rowena, you're completely breaking up, so I can hear my name being mentioned and then stop.
I'm going to try. Okay. I'm going to try to turn the phone in, Chairman. Can you hear me?
You're still breaking up a bit, actually.
Chairman, it's Angela Saunders, meeting producer. Do you want me to take the roll call vote?
If you could for the moment, Angela, because we are losing track of it a bit there.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will have to start again because I wasn't making note of.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, so I'll start with yourself, Councillor Batters.
Sorry, I've got to think what I'm doing. Yeah, I'm against refusal.
Councillor Parsons.
Against.
Burden.
Abstain.
Craker.
Against refusal.
Councillor Eddy.
Against refusal.
Councillor Fitter.
Against refusal.
Councillor Flashman.
Against refusal.
Holly.
For refusal.
Councillor Jordan.
No, he's not on a vote.
Can't take part.
Sorry,
He's
Councillor
not
Lott.
voting. Yeah.
For.
May.
Or
Councillor Mond.
against refusal.
Pascoe.
Against refusal.
Councillor Pugh.
For.
Councillor Tamlin.
Against.
Okay, I'll just count that up a minute, Chairman. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Chairman, that vote has failed with 9 votes against, 4 in favour and 1 abstention.
Thank you very much. In that case, I'll turn to Jim, who was the original person who said he would propose that this was accepted. So, Jim, I'll put you down as a proposer. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, Chairman.
Right. And who would like to second that? There were 1 or 2 of you.
Adrian, I think, put his name forward.
Adrian,
Yeah, I could second, Chairman. I'll wait and listen to Jim's reasons, but if Jim was okay, I would like to ask that we have a natural stone hedge built to the back of the site to create a natural boundary, if we can do that, please.
Okay, Jim, if you would like to come up with your reasons as concisely as possible, because we are now beginning to run along a bit.
Yeah, in my view, it's already policy. It meets policy 3, and the reasons are that it's pre-developed land. Also, it is developed on 2 sides of the Delabole parish, and well, I think that's reasons that the Davina could enlarge on. Thank you.
Right. Okay, Davina or Richard, would you like to come in with your backup?
Certainly, Chairman. So in terms of the suggested reasons, I think much of the debate is centred on whether the proposed site represents previously developed land, and the fact that some members consider it to be adjoining the settlement. So those would form the reasons. The site represents previously developed land immediately adjoining the settlement and would accord with policy 3, policy 21 of the Cornwall local plan. In terms of conditions, Richard has put forward some suggested conditions. Standard time limit condition, a condition that requires the development to be built in accordance with the approved plans, a condition that requires the development to be carried out in accordance with the submitted ecological appraisal, and also a condition that requires the implementation of the landscaping scheme. In terms of the new stone hedgerow that Councillor Parsons referred to add that sort of condition, we would have to require a revised scheme of landscaping. So a condition to that effect, a revised scheme of landscaping to be submitted as well.
I agree with that. I agree with that entirely.
And that's the lot. Thank you.
Okay. Right, members, you've heard the proposal here and the conditions attached to it. So I'll pass you back to, hopefully, to Rowena, who has recovered, to carry out the roll.
I've joined via telephone, Chairman. I can view the meeting, but I'm going to speak via my telephone to hopefully it won't disappear. Can I just clarify that that was proposed by Councillor Flashman and seconded by Councillor Parsons?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, thank you for approval. Okay, I'll take the vote now. Councillor Burden.
Abstain as before.
Councillor Craker.
4.
Councillor Eddy.
4.
Councillor Flashman.
4.
Councillor Fitter.
4.
Councillor Holly.
Against.
Councillor Long.
Against, the name recorded, please.
Thank you. Councillor May.
Against.
Councillor Mould.
4.
Councillor Pascoe.
4.
Councillor Pugh.
Against.
Councillor Tamlin.
4.
Councillor Parsons.
4.
And Councillor Batters.
Yes, 4.
Thank you. 1, 2. So this application has been approved by 9 votes to 4 with 1 abstention, Chairman.
Thank you very much. Moving on then to our next application, PA 20 05332, Whitehall Farm, Wilcove, Torque Point, presented by George Shirley. Are you there, George?
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. Hopefully the presentation's coming up now.
Yes. Clearly visible.
Okay, so this is application PA 20 05332 at Whitehall Farm, Wilcove. It's for the construction of a dwelling and conversion of existing barn to garage, play and study area. So the key issue is whether this is a suitable location for new housing with regard to development plan policies, in particular policy 3 of the Cornwall local plan, which provides support for new dwellings which meet the definition of infill and rounding off. Officers are recommending refusal of the application, contrary to the views of the parish council, who are supportive. So the site is located in proximity to Will Cove, a small village on the banks of the Tamar, within the setting, but not within the Tamar Valley AONB designation. So the site is located at Whitehall Farm, a detached property with a number of outbuildings. The outbuildings are used for various commercial, domestic and previously agricultural purposes. The dwelling would be positioned partly within the domestic curtilage of Whitehall Farm and partly on an adjoining field, and also on the site of a derelict agricultural building which is to be demolished as well. Just in terms of Will Cove itself, you can see there's kind of two parts to the settlement really, as we see it. You have kind of the older part of Will Cove down to the bottom left of the screen, and then you have the more recent Cove Meadow development. I think there's 19 detached properties there, but in our view that's what makes up Will Cove Village. So just moving on to the aerial image, you can see Whitehall Farm and the application site are detached from Will Cove itself, surrounded by agricultural fields. The closest properties to the application site within Will Cove are probably Cove Lodge, which is here. That's about 100 metres to the northwest, and you've got the old barn down here, which is 126 metres to the west. So just moving on to the existing plans, you've got an existing timber framed agricultural building which isn't in a great state of repair. That's proposed to be demolished, and then you've got a stone built barn which is proposed to be retained. I think I've said that's going to be used for kind of garage and a study play area, basically an ancillary outbuilding. So the proposed plans, this is detailed application, a fairly traditionally designed property, dual pitch natural slate roof, and then you've got hung slate on the upper elevation and a natural stone finish on the lower elevation as well. And then just looking at the site plans, you've got a small garden area which is proposed, parking provision as well, and the site is accessed via the same access which serves Whitehall Farm as well. So just moving on to the photos, we've got Whitehall Farm on the right hand side here. This is the host dwelling. You've got the stone built barn to be converted, which would still be detached in the middle of the shot here, and then the proposed dwelling would be kind of this area on the left hand side of the screen. So yeah, this is a stone barn which would be converted. The property itself would be kind of behind the barn as you're looking at these photos. And then looking at the barn from the other, you can see the barn again from the other side. And these photos just show the relationship between the barn, which would be the outbuilding, and Whitehall Farm. And the proposed dwelling would be kind of to the right hand side of both of these shots. So this is the agricultural building which would be demolished, and the proposed dwelling would be in its place, and then the Whitehall Farm and the stone barn would be to the rear, behind the building there, which you can see. And this just provides a little bit of a wider context to those previous photos. You can see that the building which is to be demolished and the stone barn next to it. And then the site would be partially within the adjacent agricultural field, and then partially kind of edging into the domestic curtilage of Whitehall Farm. So this photo is just to provide a little bit of context for you. So the site is in view of parts of the Tamar estuary. So that photo, I believe, is just looking due south. And then another final shot to provide a bit more context again. So you can see Whitehall Farm in the centre of the shot. The application site just to the left of it here. Proposed dwelling will be there. Obviously, agricultural fields surround the site. And you can see the Tamar estuary and Plymouth beyond. So just to summarise, the dwelling would be physically separated from the nearby settlement of Will Cove by fields, and it is considered to fall within the open countryside. It wouldn't adjoin any part of the settlement, and instead it would be read as sporadic development unrelated to the main form of Will Cove. The proposal therefore fails to accord with Policy 3 of the Cornwall Local Plan, and the provision of the dwelling would lead to an erosion of the rural context, contrary to Policy 23 of the Local Plan. The limited benefits of the proposal, namely the contribution to the local housing stock and small economic benefits through its construction and subsequent occupation, wouldn't outweigh the harm and policy conflict identified, and therefore the proposal represents unsustainable development. The application is recommended for refusal as set out in the report. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much. We only have one speaker on this, and that is Peter Bulmer. Are you there, Peter Bulmer?
Yes, I am. Can you hear me?
Hi, good afternoon to you, representing Anthony Parish Council. You have 3 minutes. We will give you 30 seconds warning before the end of the 3 minutes.
Just before we start that, the applicant is the chairman of Anthony Parish Council, and I'm not sure if there's conflict of interest. Can that be clarified before I start?
Well, we can do. Is Ben there? Ben or?
Yeah. Hi, Chairman. that would be for Anthony Parish Council to ascertain, wouldn't it? First of all.
Yeah.
Sorry, just remind me there. So, who have we got speaking from Anthony Parish Council today?
Councillor Peter Bulmer.
Yeah, it's you, sir, isn't it? So presumably, we can't advise Anthony Parish, but what we would hope would be that when this came to your parish meeting, that was discussed then, and that the gentleman was not present, and that he's been completely removed from the discussions, and that obviously, you know, for us to place, you know, the proper weight on what you tell us today, you know, we would hope that would have happened, but ultimately, it's a matter for you. So hopefully that has happened, and you know, and the gentleman, so he wasn't involved in the discussions. You know, they've been, you know, he declared an interest, and then that's fine. And in the same way as we would deal with it when we have members who bring applications, you know, possibly into this meeting.
Yes.
All right. So yeah. All right. Thanks, Chairman.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Mr. Bulmer, you're happy now?
Yes, lovely. Thank you.
Fine. You have 3 minutes. We'll give you 30 seconds warning towards the end of it. So away you go. Thank you.
Whitehall Farm it was part of a number of hamlets before Will Cove became Will Cove as we know it now. And the building that's on there, the Whitehall Farm, is one of the oldest buildings, if not the oldest building within those hamlets. So at one time, Will Cove itself was based around Whitehall Farm, not where it is now. So if you go back in the old census or whatever, it shows that Whitehall Farm is part of Will Cove, not excluded. There's been a number of other buildings that was mentioned before at the Cove and what have you, and Whitehall Farm is part of that. And so where they're proposing to knock down the barns and what have you, they're in a state of decay, and really are in a position where they're of no use as they are. And actually, the barn itself needs quite a lot of work because the walls are bowing out, so they're getting into a dangerous situation. So that's all I've got to say on that. Thank you.
That's okay. Thank you very much. Are there any questions of the speaker for clarification purposes, please? No. As a point of interest, Mr. Bulmer, what was the vote taken in the absence of the applicant and your chairman?
It was 100%.
Thank you very much. Okay, we now move to, there is no divisional report here. Councillor Truebody has declared an interest. And we therefore move to questions of clarification of our officer, please. Any questions of clarification? For Sam Tamlin, Councillor Tamlin.
Thank you, Chair. I was just wondering if I could ask the officer what the harm is. We're always told to look for harm, and I can see that it's not within the development, but I just wondered if the officer thought there was harm in particular.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, I think the harm itself is that it would be the introduction of further built form outside of the settlement. In our eyes, it would be in the context of other built form at Whitehall Farm, but in our view, we wouldn't want to see another dwelling in this location. It's quite an attractive small rural promontory out into the river. Admittedly, it's not so harmful that we felt it would require a reason for refusal in itself, but we felt that yeah, another dwelling there would not be desirable.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Jim Flashman, questions for clarification.
Yeah, the footprint of the building is being taken down. How far is that away from the application site?
Okay, so, Jim, you can't see it, can you? You can't see the...
No, I haven't got any visual.
No, Jim's not got access to visual.
Okay, so the proposed dwelling is proposed to be constructed kind of largely on a similar footprint to the building that's proposed to be demolished. I mean, not exactly kind of point for point, but yeah, in a largely similar location. And then in terms of distance from the main dwelling itself, it's not far, kind of 10-15 meters or so, Jim. Hopefully that helps.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can I ask George, how far removed the application site is from the main buildings of Wilcove?
Yeah, thanks, Chairman. So I think I mentioned in the presentation. So we've got Cove. Let me just check the wording. Cove Lodge, which I believe is this property here. So property to property is about 100 meters. And then you've got a property called the Old Barn, I believe, which is here. Distance between the proposed dwelling and this property would be 126 meters. So in our view, those are the two closest properties which fall within the defined form of Wilcove. I'm sure informally, locally, many of the properties will be known as being within Wilcove. But in our eyes, these are the properties which actually form the defined form and shape of Wilcove.
Fine, thank you. Neil Burden, Councillor Burden, clarification, please.
Wilcove, can I just ask the officer? Wilcove is now a tourist place, is it? I saw all the umbrellas up and the park benches. It's not a farm then, as such. It's called a farm, but it's not one.
Sorry, is this Whitehall Farm? You mentioned Wilcove there. Do you mean Whitehall Farm?
Yeah, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm not sure on the exact use of the land at Whitehall Farm. You've obviously got some fields surrounding it. From my site visit, it didn't appear that the buildings around there were really used for agricultural purposes. They appeared to be more used for kind of commercial uses. Doesn't appear to be any kind of tourism purposes at Whitehall Farm itself.
Well, what were the umbrellas for all on the picnic tables then?
Let me just have a look. I'll just find is it in the photos that you saw?
Yes.
I just think that's a nice area for the applicants to sit out at, I believe.
Sit on a different table each day.
Yeah.
Well, they are socially distanced, perhaps, Neil, but I don't think it's relevant really too much to this application. But let's just say they're there for some reason or other. But Councillor Parsons, I'm hoping this is going to be brief because we need to move on as quickly as we can.
Thanks, Chair. So, George, are you saying this farm isn't a farm, but it is a defined farm farm yard and not part of the defined settlement, obviously. I'm starting to get a little confused.
Yeah, so I mean, it's called Whitehall Farm, so I'd imagine historically once was a farm, doesn't appear to be used for agricultural purposes now. And yeah, in our view, I mean, hopefully you can still see the plans. Am I showing the plans now?
No, there's nothing on there, but
yeah, I mean, in our view, it doesn't fall within the settlement, and the farmyard doesn't appear to be used for agricultural purposes anymore.
Fine. Councillor Mould, Carol.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So can I just be clear? This is not considered to be farming diversification.
No, there's no farm diversification here. This is an application for an open market dwelling.
Thank you. Lovely. Thank you very much.
Right. There are no other hands up at the moment, so we'll go to the open debate. Who would like to start the open debate off, please? John Fitter, Councillor Fitter.
Mr. Chairman, I've seen nothing in this application to warrant disagreement with the officer's interpretation of the planning policies that would allow us to refuse this application. So I would respectfully submit that we refuse as set out, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm of the same opinion, actually, so I'm happy to second it myself. Has anyone else got any comments on this before we proceed any further?
Jim here.
Yes, Jim.
Well, we've been advised by the government to try and use as many footprints of farm buildings and whatever. If a replacement house or a house can be built there, it'd be more aesthetically valuable to the Tamar Valley than to have a fallen down barn there. And I would like to support it. And the reasons are that the parish council chairman hit the nail on the head. He said that the farm...
It wasn't the parish council chairman, Jim. Just a technicality. It wasn't the chairman.
Right. The speaker of the parish council said that they unanimously supported the application, and I can see why. And originally the Wilcove was that farm. That farm was part of that hamlet. So I don't know how that they can change when you've got 26 or whatever houses the other side of the road to say that it's in part of that Wilcove parish.
Fine. Well, if we come back to it in a moment, give others a chance to speak if they want to, Jim, because I'm looking to be as concise as possible here on our. We're running short of time with regards to the day, actually. So, Councillor Holly.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Could the planning officer just qualify what Jim said? I don't think it was quite right about the government saying that we should reuse every footprint that's not being used on the farm. I'm sure that's not right. Perhaps the planning officer could advise us on that.
Yeah, I mean, there's support for conversion of agricultural buildings, but this isn't such an application. This is an application for the construction of a brand new dwelling on the footprint of an old dwelling. So you're not getting the sustainability benefits you would from converting a building. In terms of kind of government directives of kind of construction of new housing on the footprint of agricultural buildings, I'm not aware of any other than the conversions, as I've just said.
Thank you. I thought not. Thank you.
Councillor Pascoe.
Yes, just very briefly, I wanted to confirm and just how I interpreted what the parish council speaker said and what I understand of Wilcove, and I do know the place, is that originally Wilcove was the farm, full stop. The estate was built afterwards, which then all became Wilcove. And actually, I don't see any harm. I think that will bring a redundant barn in bad repair back into good use, and actually tidy up the area completely. So I agree with Jim, and I will not be going with the recommendation.
Fine. Okay. There are no other hands up, so I would like to move now to the recommendation that's put forward, proposed by Councillor Fitter, seconded by myself, in line with the officer's recommendation. So can I pass it across now to Rowena?
Yes, thank you, Chairman. Okay, Councillor Burden.
Move refusal as before, as officers say.
Okay, Councillor Craker.
Against.
Councillor Eddy.
For the recommendation.
Councillor Flashman.
Against.
Councillor Fitter.
Refuse as set out.
Councillor Holly.
Refuse as set out.
Councillor Jordan.
Yeah, refuse as set out.
Councillor Long.
Refuse.
Councillor May.
As set out.
Refuse. Councillor Mole.
Refuse as set out.
Councillor Pascoe.
Against the recommendation.
Councillor Pascoe. Can you say how you wish to vote?
I'm sorry, I had against the recommendation.
Councillor Pugh.
Refuse as set out.
Councillor Tamlin.
For.
Councillor Parsons.
For.
Sorry, can you repeat that, Councillor Parsons?
For the recommendation.
For refusal. Councillor Batters.
Yeah, for refusal as recommended.
Thank you. So this application has been refused by 12 votes to 3, Chairman.
Thank you very much. I want to push straight on now if we can to finish with we got one case left. There's basically only one speaker plus a divisional member. I think Councillor Pascoe's about to leave us. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I was just to type your
I just wanted it recorded. That you did inform me of that, Jane. Thank you very much. But I'd just like it recorded by Rowena at this stage.
Okay, thank you.
Fine. If we can go then to our final application, which is PA 20 06471, Willow Court, Mornick, Callington. It's presented by George Shirley. Across to you, George.
Thanks, Chairman. Just checking you can see the presentation up on the screen.
All clearly visible.
Cracking. Okay. So, yeah, application PA 20/06417 at Willow Court, Mornick. This is an outline application for one dwelling with all matters reserved. So the key issue is whether this is a suitable location for new housing with regards to the development plan policies. Officers are recommending a refusal of the application in line with the comments of the Parish Council. The divisional member is supportive of the scheme. The application site is located close to the small settlement of Mornick. The area is very rural, predominantly agricultural land surrounding the settlement. The site is paddock land, which is associated with the property known as Willow Court. Willow Court is this building here. It's actually a run of buildings, so the map is slightly incorrect. And then you've got a number of outbuildings here as well. Willow Court is located on the opposite side of the highway from two other properties nearby, and then the main kind of cluster of Mornick is located further to the west. So the aerial image, again, just showing the area is quite rural, a lot of agricultural land. So the application site's within a paddock area here, and you'll be able to see it a bit more clearly in the photos in a minute. I think our officer view is that the curtilage of the property Willow Court is kind of in this adjacent land here, and this land slightly to the north as well. But this kind of wider land, again, you'll see the land ownership plan in a minute, but this wider land is not really considered to be part of the curtilage. Again, yeah, here you go. So you can see the land in blue, which is under the ownership of the applicant. Most of this we wouldn't consider to fall within the curtilage of Willow Court. We'd probably only consider this immediate area around here. The rest of it's kind of paddock type land, we would probably describe it as. The block plan here as well, I should point out, is only indicative. This is an outline application. Okay, so moving on to the photos. This is just the shot from the site access, looking south west from the access just down the adjacent lane. There aren't any amendments proposed to the access or anything. And then looking into the site now, the application site is this parcel of land to the rear of the shop through the metal gate. So you'd access the site through this gravel track here, and then the site, is through that metal gate and behind that fencing there. There are a few outbuildings on the land which I'll point out in the photos, one of which is here. And I should also point out the mature trees to the rear of the plot as well. Again, this is a similar looking shot, really looking in a similar direction, just slightly further along. Another outbuilding here, timber outbuilding. But yeah, the site is this segment of paddock here. Okay, so you can see that the site itself is laid to grass, few trees on the site, and at the time the site was visited, there was sheep kept on the land as well, only a small number, so it appeared to be more for hobby purposes rather than kind of a full-on agricultural enterprise. So this is looking back towards the applicant's property, so you can see the chimney there, and this run of buildings here form the property Willow Court, and then this is an outbuilding which you've seen on a previous shot. So the application site is on the right hand side of the shot here. And then another shot, this is looking at the site more to the southwest. Again, you can see those trees that you saw in an earlier application, as well as the two outbuildings. So this is from land that perhaps could be considered as domestic curtilage, looking onto the adjacent paddock land. So to summarise, the dwelling would be physically separated from the nearby settlement of Mornick, given it would be development of a rural paddock, which is considered to fall within the open countryside and does not form part of the domestic curtilage for the host dwelling. It would extend built form into the open countryside and would be read as sporadic development unrelated to the main form of Mornick. Approval of the application could possibly create another site for rounding off. The proposal therefore fails to accord with policy 3 of the Cornwall local plan, and the provision of a dwelling would lead to an erosion of the rural context, contrary to policy 23 of the Cornwall local plan. The limited benefits, namely contribution to local housing stock and small economic benefits through its construction and subsequent occupation, would not outweigh the harm identified, and therefore the proposal represents unsustainable development. The application is recommended for refusal as set out in the report. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, George. Our speaker on this is Sue Waters. Are you available, Sue Waters?
Chairman, it's Angela Saunders, meeting producer. She's having trouble getting into the meeting. She's going to carry on trying, but I've also sent her the meeting link to join via Teams. I suggest that we move on to the local member in the meantime.
Yes, we can certainly. Yeah, we can do that, Angela. No problem. In that case, Councillor Dorr, are you present? Hello, Councillor Dorr, are you present?
Yeah, Councillor Dorr is at the meeting, but she's on mute at the moment, Chairman.
Fine. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah, I've unmuted myself. Hello, can you hear me?
Hi, can hear you clear. Yep, clear as you wish. You have 5 minutes, and I would be expecting you to wind.
Good afternoon, members, general public.
I'm just explaining. I haven't started you yet. If you can hold. We're not in a race here. I just want to set out the rules that you have to finish within 5 minutes. I should be looking for you to wind down. Okay?
That's absolutely fine.
Right. Fine.
I'm supporting the application actually, and I think it's important for members to note that the applicant who submitted a pre-app, which is 12 months ago, northeast of Willow Court, the planning office considered this site and to remove the was to remove from Mornick. It was suggested by the planning officer that the site for a single dwelling house would be more preferable. so it was located to the west. As a result, the applicant has submitted this application, given that he believed that the planning officer would support this scheme. I'm also aware that the applicant... Oh, go away. Sorry. I'm also aware that the application given that believe that the planning officer will support. I'm aware the applicant wants to free up family-sized dwelling. Oh, go away. Sorry.
I hope you don't mean us go away, Councillor, at all.
No, the phone keeps ringing. I'm sorry.
Yes, I would turn it off if I was you.
Yeah, I think I can't because I'm reading my notes on the phone. Sorry, where am I? I'm aware the applicant wants to free up a family-sized dwelling house and stay within the community where he has a network of support, which he's lived at nearly for 30 years. Reading this report by the officer, the key issues in my mind, I believe that the site is part of the settlement. It is within the curtilage of the garden and is in keeping with the planning policies of the South Hill Neighbourhood Local Plan. Policy 3. The matter with regard to trees is not relevant as there is no known trees on the site and it's only the tree sprout on the hedgerow. This is a result of trees being taken out in 2001. Members should also note that I have been to the site and I like the PC can confirm that the site is part of the settlement of Mornick. It is a site that lies to the rear of the applicant's home of Willow Court, where there are outbuildings, and the application site. It is red. Oh my God, go away. Sorry, it's the phone keeps ringing into my daughter.
Well, I've noticed that, yeah.
The applicant has provided aerial photographs to me, and that shows that the site has been used as a garden for purposes for over 30 years. Whilst the SHNBP is silent on the issues of rounding off, it could possibly be a rounding off site. So I am at a loss why the...
I have to get the thing off, haven't I?
We are a parish that has reasonably provided 500 houses
how am I speaking to this?
and this is supposed to be a site of development. So more than two of us talking now for one single dwelling, and I do believe that the housing stock would release a nice family-sized home.
All right.
I am of the view that the site meets all the criteria within the CPL 2016 policy 3 with rounding off. The site is clearly a rounding off site and meets with the definition by the Chief Planning Officer. The site is bounded by an established hedgerows to the south and the west and the east, and by the property known as Willow Court to the north, thereby enclosing it, preventing any encroachment into any open countryside. This proposal is very similar to a recent application decision at Tribullet PA 1903974, where they have had similar arguments put forward by the council, yet the inspector ruled in favour of the applicant. Furthermore, like this site, there is an enclosed feature, i.e. hedgerows and outbuilding, which prevents any encroachment on the open countryside. This proposal is very... Oh, sorry, I got that far. Sorry. There is similar argument put forward to the council, but the inspector ruled in favour. Furthermore, to this site being enclosed with the outbuildings, which also prevents encroachment. Like the appeal decision, the matter rests within Policy 3, which is committed to the SHNDP, where Policy 3, including rounding off and infilling and development, is relevant to this case. I fully support the case, along with 8 other residents who have written into the council, believing the site to be in the right location, and it's going to be a modest place. It's not a large place, it's just a modest place for one single person. This is within policy compliant to the scheme and countrywide levels, and I hope that you will support the proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's okay.
I would suggest perhaps easier off a tablet next time. I think you might say we perhaps struggled to stay to keep our attention on what you were saying, but never mind.
This is my first outing on my new laptop that I got at the weekend.
Well, yes, well, it obviously doesn't work. Right, Sue Waters. Is Sue Waters in attendance?
Yes, Councillor and Chair. Can you hear me?
Good day to you. Thank you for attending. Thank you for attending. You have 3 minutes to outline your case. We will give you a 30-second warning before the end. So when you're ready, away you go, please.
Thank you, Chair.
And can Councillor Dole turn her camera off, please?
Okay, thank you, Chair and members of the committee.
Councillor Dole, can you turn your camera off, please? Thank you. Away you go, Sue. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair and members, for allowing me to speak. I'm Sue Walters, a planning consultant for Situate Limited, and we represent the applicant, Mr. Holden. The application site comprises of garden land to the applicant's property of Willow Court, and aerial photographs from 2007 from the Google will confirm that the site has been well kept and used as garden area and not agricultural land. The application site is to the south of a number of outbuildings, and it is bound by hedgerows to the west and south and open to the north to Willow Court. The application site reads as part of this property. There are no trees at the site, only tree sprouts, and all the trees were removed in 2001. Policy H1 of the South Hill Neighbourhood Development Plan establishes support for infilling and small-scale development. The Neighbourhood Plan confirms that small-scale development can be provided where it won't harm the character of the area and is of a scale and density appropriate to the settlement. We believe the site to be discrete when viewed in the landscape setting and part of Willow Court. It's also of a density respectful to the hamlet. The neighbourhood plan also provides for 520 houses in the plan period through the reuse of brownfield land, redundant farm buildings, infilling, etc., or if it's in accordance with policy 3 of the Cornwall local plan. That policy, as you all know, supports limited growth within settlements, including rounding off, infilling and other development. The Parish Council have identified this site as being part of the settlement of Mornick, which forms part of the network of variably sized settlements within the wider area. The application site is central to the hamlet and as such attracts support under policy 1 of the neighbourhood plan and policy 3 of the Cornwall local plan. Where neighbourhood development plans are silent on specific matters such as rounding off, policy 3 requires proposals to lead to the rounding off of a settlement by using previously developed land within or adjoining a settlement or infilling a small gap in an otherwise continuous built frontage. If the council considers this garden site to be part of Willow Court's curtilage and not part of the settlement, then the proposal does in addition conform to the definition of previously developed land. We believe that the site meets with the definition of rounding off, given that it is part of the settlement and is substantially enclosed. The defining physical features of the outbuildings they act as barriers to further growth and ensures no encroachment of development into the open countryside. The hedgerow to the west marks the domestic boundary to agricultural land, which can be seen in the settlement, and this feature does not therefore disassociate the site from the settlement. It is also inside the road signage, which demarks the settlement of Mornick, and the application site is not visually experienced as part of the open countryside. A modest low-profile dwelling meeting the objectives of policy 3 of the Cornwall local plan and also policy H1 of the neighbourhood plan. There's been no objections from neighbours in the locality and 8 letters of support have been received. We therefore
I'm afraid that's just 3 minutes. That's just 3 minutes.
Thank you.
Sorry
Thank you, Chair.
Before you go, are there any questions of the speaker for clarification purposes, please? Doesn't look as though there are. Is that correct, Vice Chair?
That's correct, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Sue. You're welcome to obviously listen in on the live stream for the rest of the application, but thank you for your attendance.
Thank you very much.
Now we move to questions of the officer. If I may start, George, reference was made to the fact that the planning department supported this application on a pre-app. Could you perhaps outline us on that one, please?
Yeah, I might just quickly defer to Davina quickly. That was a confidential pre-app, but it seems like it's been referred to by the councillor, and I'm not sure if the previous speaker referred to it as well. So would maybe just appreciate get some advice on that first.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. Any questions of our officer then, please, for clarification purposes? Nothing coming up at present. Adrian Parsons, Councillor Parsons.
Thanks, Chair. Both speakers made references to the Parish Council.
Yes, are you still there, Adrian?
Oh, sorry, Chairman. Sorry.
That's okay.
I haven't unmuted. I don't know.
I made reference to the Parish Council. That's all we heard.
With reference to the Parish Council, I think they voted against this application, but could it be just clarified if they were in support or if they were against, please?
Yeah, 2 seconds. I'll just pull up their comments. It's in the report. Okay, so this is South Hill Parish Council. The Parish Council object to the application. Although they agree that Willow Court is part of Mornick, the proposed development is not acceptable and does not constitute infill or rounding off. The application does not comply with the South Hill Neighbourhood Development Plan. That's their comments.
Fine, thank you. Any other questions or clarification, please, for our officer? Nothing showing, Chair, Vice Chair? No. In which case we will move in. In which case, Adrian, are you confirming all's clear?
Yeah, all is clear, Chairman.
Thank you. In that case, we'll move into open debate. Who would like to start the open debate, please? Andrew Long. Councillor Long.
Yes, thank you very much, Chairman. Listening to the debate, listening to the comments, I see no reason to go against the officer recommendation. Therefore, will recommend refusal in line with officer recommendations.
Thank you. We have Councillor Jordan came up second on the list.
Yeah, I'm quite happy to second that. But can I just say, Mr. Chairman, it's been very difficult this on today's meeting. The last hour, a lot of breaking up and videos going funny. So I think perhaps it might be due to the weather, but I got the gist of most of it, and I'm quite happy to support Councillor Long.
Thank you, Barry.
Jim.
There are no other hands up at the moment.
Yeah.
Oh, Jim? Yes, Jim.
Yeah. I'd like to support this application, and the reasons are that keeping a single person in somewhere where he's lived the last 30 years, and apparently that Google does support the domestic garden curtling from around 2000, whatever was mentioned by Councillor Dole, and it would free up the family house. You know, we've had this trouble with council houses where we've had large families living in them, and the families have gone. The elderly residents are now in their 80s, living in a 4-bedroom house where they could have easily been supporting a local family because there's no other place for these people to live. Now, here's someone trying to do the right thing by building somewhere close to where they've lived most of their recent life, 30 years, and freeing up a house which they're probably rattling around in and not living in half the rooms. And I believe they ought to be supporting this. And I think there is demonstrative information that hasn't been well searched. And I think that we ought to be supporting this. It is within the curtilage. It is a basic infill site.
Jim, I'm going to have to interrupt you. We can come back to you in a minute on this, by all means. You're clearly not supporting this, but we do have others waiting to speak as well, and we are running a bit short of time.
Okay, Chairman.
I mean, I can come back to you. I'm not saying I'm not saying I'm not listening to you. I'm just saying you repeated 3 times. You said you're not supporting it, which we understand. But Councillor Fitter, you're next up.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, I'm minded to support the officer in this, especially because we have the classical case here where the parish council and the officer both agree that the application is not suitable. And I do believe, in actual fact, they have their local plan also, which is against it. So I think there's many, many reasons, sir. But most important, the parish council themselves, local democracy, does not support this application. And I think that is very important. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you. There are important points, Councillor Fitter. But does anyone else want to have a word before we take this further to the vote? There are no hands coming up. I take it that's confirmed, Vice Chair.
Should I just finish off a minute, Chairman?
Well, as long as it's not too long, Jim. Nobody else wants to speak, and you've made your point surely already. But I will give you an extra few seconds. Yes, all right. Okay. But I will interrupt you if you start going over the same ground. We cannot waste time like this going over the same ground. You know, if there are supporters of your your thoughts, fine, and we'll come back to it if the vote falls. But yes, I'll give you a few seconds.
Right, the parish council have got a parish plan. They've actually gone against their own parish plan because they do support houses within a hamlet.
Yeah, Jim, I think I've got to cut in there and say the parish council have made it clear in their response to us they do not support this application. Why, how, where they're coming from is neither here nor there, but collectively they have refused this application in support of our officer. So we have to take that path. It doesn't really matter what anyone else thinks about it at this moment. Okay? Thank you. Right. No other names are up, so we'll go to the vote, if you like, which was proposed by, is it Andrew? I think, wasn't it Andrew?
Yep, Councillor
It
Long.
was indeed, sir.
Yes, proposed by Councillor Long, seconded by Councillor Jordan, to go in line with officer's recommendation for refusal. Over to you, Rowena.
Thank you. Councillor Burden.
Gosh, for the officer's recommendation of refusal.
Thank you. Councillor Craker.
For.
Councillor Eddy.
For.
Councillor Flashman.
Against.
Councillor Fitter.
Support refusal.
Councillor Holly.
For refusal.
Councillor Jordan.
For refusal.
Councillor Long.
For.
Councillor May.
For.
Councillor Mould.
For.
Councillor Pugh.
Sorry, for.
Councillor Tamlin.
For.
Councillor Parsons.
For.
And Councillor Batters.
For refusal.
So this application has been refused by 13 votes to 1, Chairman.
Thank you very much. That brings us to the end of...
Recorded, please.
Yes, that's fine.
Sorry, what was that? Sorry.
Councillor Flashman wishes to have it recorded that he voted against that.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah.
That brings us to the end of the agenda. I thank you all. We try, if possible, without making it, well, without offending any applicants, we try and keep to a deadline, which we have worked to today. And we've got through it, and I feel the business has been well discussed and the applications well dealt with one way or another. And I thank you all for your attendance, and I thank you all for the concise replies and making the point so succinctly. So thank you very much, and I'll say goodbye to you unless there's anything anyone wants to bring up at this point.
Many thanks. Maybe, Chairman, 5 is too many, given the fact it's 4 hours now.
Yeah, I think the thing is, Andrew, we run up to 2 o'clock. I think Angela would confirm this.
Great. No,
we run up to 2
Chairman,
o'clock, and we can sign it again later.
Yeah, we're still live at the moment, I'd like to remind you. I'm waiting for confirmation that the live stream link has ended.
Fine. But thank you very much for your attendance.